There we are.
See, I never, you always get to see it before I do. Mine still says setting it up.
Maybe it's checking with all of us first.
Yes.
It's one of the things I can do. There's only a short list.
I gotta figure out to close
You
the
do so much,
window.
Vicky.
Setting it up. All right, did I close the wrong one? Okay. All right, well, welcome to our reading of The Goonies, Part 2. We're going to start in the middle of the script since we read part of it last week. And we'll start first, though, with some quick introductions of who's reading what and where people can find you and where you and who you are and who you're reading. So let's go ahead and start with Jacob.
Hello again. I'm Jacob, and I'll be playing Mikey and Mr. Walsh. And he, him, you can find me at my website, jacobpatrick.com.
Awesome. Aubrey.
Hi, I'm Aubrey. I am reading the part of Jake and Brand Walsh. I'm doing actions and descriptions and a couple of other smaller characters. I'm an experience, and I live in Northern California.
Awesome.
And and you can find my music and all of my stuff on Instagram or on at lucyandthefair.com or Lucy and the Fair, or my album on Spotify. There you go. Sorry.
Okay, sounds great. Vicky.
Hi, I'm Vicky Dykes. I'm from Central Alberta, a small town, Penhold, outside of Red Deer. And that's in Canada, if you don't know where Alberta is. Today, I will continue reading Data Wang, and I'll have an opportunity to read Francis Fratelli, a little actions and descriptions. I'll start things out. And I'm excited to be Sloth and Steph.
Awesome.
And you can find me on Instagram. I'm Yogagramma10, and I'm on Facebook under the name Vicky Dykes.
Great. And see, Jackson.
I'm Jackson Gray. You can find me on anything really with that. Today I get to play Mouth, Troy, and Mr. Perkinsons, and possibly Chunk. Also some actions and descriptions. I live in Central Alberta, and any pronouns.
Awesome. And I am Kat Wilson from Gig Harbor, Washington. She, her pronouns. Today I'll be reading the parts of Mama, Andy, Friend, Chunk's mom briefly, and Rosalita briefly, and apparently quite a few lines of actions and descriptions. And we'll be trading actions and descriptions off an awful lot today. So there are about more than half of the play is actions and descriptions. So, or script, I should say. It's not a play. So pardon us if we mess up who's reading what. We'll try and cue people in on those. You can find me on Facebook when I'm not here. You can find me at Two Households in Fair Corona, a Shakespeare reading group on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th Saturdays. All right, without further ado, let me pull the script up and we'll go ahead and start reading. We're going to start in the middle, like I said, on page 61. And this is right when Chunk has been captured by the bad guys. And the rest of the Goonies have gone and hidden into their tunnels. So it's going to take me a sec here to get to the right screen. Script. Open this. And let's go 11. Oh, stop. All right, and I need to make that slightly larger, I bet.
Yeah.
So, and find page 61. Let's see what we got. So yes, wow, it's a little too large, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. How's that? Is that okay, or do you want it one step up?
One up would be
One up. Okay. Like that.
sure.
Let me move this over here and let me find, let's see, we're on page 49. A little further.
Ah,
Oh, back, not too far. Okay, this should be the right page. And I apologize, the text is very 1980s Courier font. Is this the right page? No. Yeah. Thought we were on page 61. Ah, there's page 61. Okay. And we left off with Chunk lies frozen again, face to face with the FBI corpse and frozen with fear. Now we're starting with scene 82 down here.
Interior tunnel. Underwater pipes night. Brand moves forward, holding the lantern. The light guides them through the dark tunnel. The kids round a corner and come upon an odd sight. A large cluster of twisting metal pipes runs along the cavern ceiling. The rusted pipes dangle a few feet. They are obviously connected to something several feet above the surface. Warm and cold light seeps down from the surface surrounding the pipes. Steph nudges mouth. Your old man's a plumber. What kind of pipes are those? A little too far. There we are.
Gas pipes, electrical, sewage, plumbing, hot water, cold water, pressure pipes.
water pipes? Hey, you think if we started banging on them, somebody upstairs might hear?
Mouth gives a nod. He pulls a wrench from his pocket. The other kids pick up rocks from the ground. They begin to rap on the pipes. We cut to exterior Hillside Country Club night, the Hillside Residence Private Club. Interior tunnel underwater pipes. The kids are going wild, swinging and banging or hanging from the pipes, using all of their adolescent athletic abilities. Brand hangs upside down from one of the pipes. Andy swings from pipe to pipe, not unlike a gymnasium's parallel bars, and mouth words hard at unscrewing one particular pipe. Interior, country club, a night. The Hillside Residence, oh, yeah, the Hillside Residence Private Club. Interior tunnel underwater pipes. Oh no, I read this. Okay. Here we are.
85.
Yeah. Interior Country Club showers. 3 overweight pink club members are taking a shower. Interior tunnel underwater pipes. The kids still pull and swing from the pipes, and the pipes are twisted and tangled out of proportion, leaking and spewing water. The pipes begin to move by themselves, like slowly moving pistons on an ocean vessel. Interior Country Club showers. A man reaches out to turn down the cold water. Before his hand can touch it, the spigot is pulled into the wall. He pauses, puzzled. He reaches out for the hot water spigot. Whoosh! It is sucked into the wall. The man steps back, frightened. The shower head and nozzle above him is pulled into the wall. He looks around. Suddenly, one by one, all of the shower heads disappear into the wall. The confused members stare at the wall, their bloated bodies covered with soap. Suddenly, fecid brown black water explodes from the holes in the tile where the spigots once were. The backwash covers the bodies of the club members. They dash out of the shower room scared to death. Exterior putting green night. A tennis player pauses, getting a drink from a quart fountain. The player moves his lips to the fountain, and the entire fountain is pulled down a few inches. The puzzle player bends lower. The fountain is pulled down a few more inches. The player again bends lower. The fountain suddenly shoots upward. knocking in the player's chin, and the player hits the ground out cold. Interior tunnel, underwater pipes. The pipes are moving, tangled mess of leaking, spraying water. Several shower nozzles, water fountains, and various spigots have been pulled underground, but the kids still have not given up, still thinking they've had no contact with the outer world. Suddenly, all the pipes begin to move faster, bouncing, becoming violent. Steam and water hiss and spray. What's happening?
Rufus pressure. Let's get out of here.
Interior country club men's room. Troy goes into a stall as a low rumbling can be heard. He drops his pants and sits down on the commode. Immediately, an explosion of toilet water blasts Troy off his seat, sending him crashing all the way up to the ceiling. Interior tunnel underwater pipes. The kids walk away, defeated, out of breath, sweating. Bran shakes his head.
Geez, you think somebody would have noticed.
Interior lighthouse basement, kitchen, night. Close up. Hamilton Beach blender. A hand comes into frame holding a large eggplant. The eggplant is placed into the blender, and the blender liquefy switch is hit. The eggplant is pushed into the blender, and the eggplant is crushed, turned to mush from the bottom to the top. We hear Mama's voice over as the eggplant is crushed.
First, we'll start with your pudgy little fingers, then your round little hands, and then your fleshy arm.
Camera pulls back. We are in the Fratelli basement. Francis is holding the eggplant and controlling the blender. Jake is holding a gun to Chunk's head. And Chunk is nervous, sweating, tied to a chair by an extension cord. Mama stands in front of Chunk, spewing out threats. Mama nods for Sal to turn off the blender. Mama looks back at Chunk.
Now, you gonna tell me where your little friends are? Think you're muted, Jackson.
In the fireplace.
Don't lie to me, boy.
Honest, we're got this map from Miss Dad. Said that underneath this place, there's buried treasure.
Don't give us any of your bullshit stories. We want the truth. Spill your guts. Tell us everything. Everything.
Okay. In 3rd grade, I cheated on a history exam. In 4th grade, I stole my uncle's toupee and glued it on my face when I played one of those wise men in our school Christmas play. In 5th grade, I pushed my brother down the stairs and blamed the dog.
Mama and the boys just look at each other. They can't even get a word in. We cut to interior Chester Copperpot's tunnel. Close up, passageway.
Aubrey.
Oh,
Interior, Chester, Copperpot Tunnel, close-up, passageway floor, tracking shot. A light beam illuminates the uneven floor covered with jutting rocks and sudden inclines and declines. We see a gum wrapper, a metal cigar tube, and a mildewed dog-eared Bible scattered across the ground. Camera pulls back. We see the Goonies making their way through the passageway. They are still incredibly frightened. Andy is still muttering her prayers. Mikey picks up the discarded gum wrapper.
Oops. And that would be Jacob.
Muted. Uh-oh. Maybe somebody else was here before us.
maybe they're still here. Oh, maybe we better hope they're not.
10 minutes ago, Troy was looking down my shirt. There's nothing wrong with that, is there? If I hadn't acted so vain, I'd still be cruising the coast with Troy. I have a terrific body. Why shouldn't the boys look all they want? I mean, how many years do I get before I start looking like him?
Camera pans to where Andy is pointing. A decayed skeleton is lying on the floor. The legs are trapped under a giant boulder. Mikey looks up at the ceiling. He sees a length of boulders hanging from chains on the ceiling. The skeleton was obviously a victim of some sort of booby trap. Mikey suddenly makes the realization. He talks to himself.
You did this, One-Eyed Willie, didn't you? This is one of your tricks. You wouldn't have gone through all this trouble unless you were hiding something, would you, Willie?
The other Goonies slowly gather around the miner's body. The skeleton is dressed in miner's clothes. He is wearing a miner's hat and equipped with several tools, shovels, picks, hoes, etc. The Goonies stare in shock, frightened. Mikey opens his map to look for a way out. The other kids move towards the body. Data makes a realization.
This must be Chester Copperpot. Who? Oh, the last guy who went looking for the rich stuff. Oh, they say he went in but never came out. Oh, that was back in 1935.
Find his wallet.
I ain't finding his wallet. You find his wallet.
Steph sighs and decides to look for the wallet. She slowly reaches into the skeleton's trousers. She removes the wallet, but the skeleton's hands lodges on the wallet. Steph tries to pull the wallet, but the skeleton hand pulls back, a tug of war. Steph finally breaks the wallet free. She opens it and checks the name. It reads Chester Copperpot. The kids look at each other, frightened.
Oh, God, if he didn't make it out and he was supposed to be an expert, what about us?
Data walks behind everyone. He pulls a cord on his chest and a couple dozen small red items automatically pop out into his hand. Mikey noticed. He looked at Data.
What are you doing?
I'm setting booby traps in case anybody follows us. We'll hear him coming.
Mikey suddenly notices something hanging around the skeleton's neck, a sort of medallion. Mikey grabs the medallion and studies it. It is an ancient copper item shaped like a skull. There are 3 irregularly cut holes in the medallion, at the points where the skeleton's eyes and nose would be located. Mikey stares at the medallion, trying to compare it to the map. Meanwhile, Data spots road flares in Copperpot's backpack. Data reaches in and begins to pull each one of the road flares, but Data doesn't notice that he also removed 1 stick of dynamite. He places it in with the other flares and inserts them into his backpack. Andy is scared to death. She wants out. She begins to run forward.
Let's get out of here. Come on. Let's keep moving.
Andy shoots forward. Mikey looks up. He sees that about 2 inches from the ground along the lower walls are carefully placed tree branches. The branches are a sort of trigger. When broken, they cause boulders above to fall. Mikey shouts.
Andy, stop!
But it's too late. Andy's foot snaps a branch. A creaking sound is heard. The boulders above begin to waver. In a tremendous panic, the kids crash forward. They snap each branch, causing the boulders to fall behind them, one by one, each boulder just missing the kids by hair. The kids make it to the far wall as the last boulder drops behind them. They cluster together, scared out of their wits. The kids turn, standing at a virtual dead end. A small circular boulder sits in the middle. The kids pause, listening. They hear noises behind the boulder. Steph is excited.
Listen, something's behind us.
Maybe it's a way out.
The kids attempt to move the boulder. Brand pushes everyone out of the way. He gives a macho raise of the eyebrow to Andy. He'll do it himself. Brand removes his shirt. He flexes his muscles. Andy blushes. Mouth whispers to Data.
Look at him. Showing off his Andy pecs and Andy seps.
In the background, Mikey tries to make a muscle, but nothing happens. He frowns. Brand grabs a hold of the boulder and begins to pull with all his strength. Grunting, groaning, the boulder begins to move. The crumbling sound of rock is heard. Mikey watches, proud of his brother. Andy stares at Brand's muscular body. Brand finally manages to pull out the boulder. The kids congratulate and applaud Brand. The kids poke their heads into the new opening. There is nothing but darkness. But there is that sound. It is the sound of squeaking, flapping wings. Kids look at each other, puzzled, frightened. Bran leans his head into the hole, craning as far forward as he possibly can, stretching his eyeballs to see in the dark. Hello? Hello? Anybody home? A screech and a whistling sound. Then a black winged. Go up a little
A
bit.
little bit, or whatever.
A black winged creature with sharp teeth and red eyes explodes into camera. Bats! Hundreds of bats blast past the kids. The bats attack, frenzied, pulling at the hair, clutching onto clothes. Everyone screams, arms waving, helpless. The kids duck for cover. The bats move on back through the passageway. The bats racing through the passageway in the same direction as the kids come from. The creatures move like a black cloud of locusts. Sorry, that's what. I don't know. 90s interior, lighthouse, basement, kitchen. Chunk is crying his eyes out, tears streaming down his face. Mama and the boys are listening, fascinated. He makes one last hysterical confession.
But the worst thing I have ever done, I mixed up this fake puke at home. I went into this movie theater, hid the puke.
Sorry.
Hid the puke in my jacket, climbed into the balcony, and I made the sound like this. Then I dumped it over the side on all the people in the audience. Then the people started getting sick, throwing up all over each other. It was horrible. I never felt so bad in all my life.
Mama squeezes the fat on Chunk's double chin hard. Mama's eyes are filled with fury. She stares at Chunk.
Look, kid, I still ain't heard what I wanted. Now, where are your friends?
I told you, in the fireplace. They took out the logs. Then they grinding. Then they crawled into some secret passageway.
And then they put the grating and the logs back and started the fire up from inside.
Yeah, right. Just like that.
Mama releases her grip, disgusted. She turns to Francis.
Hit puree.
Francis grabs the blender. He hits the puree button. The blender starts with a deadly whir. Mama looks at Chunk.
Now, do I get the truth or do you get juiced?
Chunk stares in horror. Mama nods to Jake. He grabs Chunk's hand, forcing it to the top of the blender. Chunk screams, crying, hysterical. Jake begins to push Chunk's fingers towards the sharp, whirling blades. Chunk struggles. Mama holds him down. Chunk's fingers are less than an inch from those blades. Suddenly a noise coming from the fireplace. Everyone turns. The logs literally blast from the fireplace. The grating pops out, bouncing across the floor. The boys shoot out of the fireplace. They fly through the room. The bats fly upward, where it's darker. They cluster together on the ceiling. Francis rushes to the fireplace. He peers into the open.
The kid's not shitting.
Interior cavern under zoo, night. The kids stand in the passageway on top of each other's shoulders. They have formed a perfect cheerleader pyramid. In order to reach the ceiling, Mikey is holding Chester Copperfield's shovel. He digs into the ceiling. Clumps of dirt begin to fall on the ground, and he shouts to everyone.
Okay, everybody, we made a perfect touchdown victory formation pyramid. Don't make a move or we'll tip over.
With a little effort, Mikey's shovel shoots through the ceiling. He smiles and calls to those below him.
Hey, we're pretty close to the surface.
Exterior Cauldron Point Zoo, night. Close up, a sign. Camera pans to the sign to a fenced grassy area. Two gorillas, Bonzo and Bertha, are cavorting about. Bonzo drives the little red convertible pedal car as he shows off for Bertha, who looks sweet and demure with a little pink ribbon the zookeepers have put in her hair. Interior cavern under zoo. Mikey continues to dig through the ceiling. Clumps of dirt fall.
And Jackson, you want to pick up actions and descriptions?
Exterior, Cauldron Point Zoo, night. Bonzo gets out of the particular and begins to groom Betha. Betha grooms back. Bonzo has a look in his eye. The look of a guy ready to score. He immediately moves around to the back of Bertha, who reacts with mock, ladylike surprise. Close. Bonzo's feet. The shovel digs through missing Bongo's feet by inches. Bongo, making his move. He mounts Bertha, and moments later, the ground opens up, and Bonzo is stuck underground and out of sight. Bertha almost speaks. She says, "Huh?" Interior. Cavern under zoo. The gorilla falls to the ground. Slam. The pyramid collapses. The shock kids scream. Bongzo gets to his feet, catching his breath. The gorilla sees the kids. He looks up and remembers what he was doing. He groans. The kids turn and run, dashing further off into the tunnels. Outrage. Bonzo climbs back up through the hole, back into his cage. Interior. Lighthouse, basement, kitchen, night. Close up, kitchen, cupboard door. The door opens. What should be filled with kitchen utensils is filled with guns, all types, pistols, rifles, magnums. Camera pulls back. Mama grabs a pistol. She looks at the boy.
If we find those kids, remember, no witnesses. We'll let the air out of their Calvins.
Chunks stares, frightened, but what he heard. Mama points the pistol at Chunk's forehead, ready to shoot. She pauses, moving the gun.
Maybe I better keep him alive, just in case he's lying. Put him in with your brother.
Chunk gives a nervous nod. Jake lifts Chunk and the chair. Something falls out of Chunk's pocket. The doubloon. It hits the floor. Mama grabs it. She studies it. Puzzled. She looks at Chunk.
What's this? A Cracker Jack prize?
We found that on the map. It got something to do with the buried treasure. Mama is still puzzled. She holds the doubloon out and to Francis.
You're supposed to be an expert.
Francis takes the doubloon, studying it. His eyes get wide. His mouth drops open. Total shock.
Oh my God.
Mama and the boys shoot him a puzzled look.
And on to Vicky.
Interior to the bottom of Wishing Well. The passageway is extremely small, tight, forcing the kids to crawl through.
I think Vicky's.
Yeah, we're going to switch to Vicky there.
Okay. The passageway continues to get lower, becoming smaller, narrower. Brand still leads, holding the flashlight. Brand is covered with sweat, extremely nervous. Suddenly, the flashlight beam begins to blink, dying out. Brand panics to Data.
Hey, what's going on? This thing's losing juice. What are we gonna do about the light?
Data reaches into his backpack. He fumbles in the darkness through the road flares he lifted from the Chester copper pot. Data's fingers pass over the stick of dynamite and instead grabs a flare. Data lights the flare and passes it to Bran. Bran still complains.
All we keep doing is going lower. Where are we going? Where is this leading? Us? This place has gotten awful small. Awful small.
Uh-oh. He's getting that elevator look in his eyes.
What do you mean, elevator?
Mikey takes advantage of the situation and moves even closer to Andy. And he explains to her, he smells her perfume and the shampoo rinse in her hair.
Me and Bran got stuck in this elevator once for 5 hours. It was okay at first. Then he started getting claustrophobia photos.
Claustrophobic?
Yeah, and he freaked out, lost total control, started spinning around in circles, his arms whipping around like a breakdancer on fast forward. I had to climb on the elevator roof so I wouldn't get hurt.
I can't breathe! I'm choking! Mikey! Give me your missing stuff! Come on, man, now! Ah!
Mikey gives Bran the promoting mist, and Bran grabs it, sucking up the precious mist. Mikey again whispers to Andy.
Last time he used that was in the elevator. Andy, this might get rough. You better let me take your hand.
Andy takes Mikey's hand. The passageway has gotten wider. The kids can now walk upright. The kids round a corner and have made it to a pool of water. The water comes up to their ankles. Mikey holds a map above the water. He suddenly notices piles of glistening silver and copper coins surrounding the edge of the walls. Mikey smiles as if his prayers were answered. Struck with gold fever, Mikey dashes out ahead of everyone.
We found it! We're rich!
Mikey falls to his hands and knees in a shaft of cool exterior moonlight from far above, and Bran takes several deep breaths, taking in the sudden burst of fresh air from above. He starts picking up all the coins in a 1-inch pool of dirty water. What year was that map made?
Couple hundred years before Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Montenstein.
Well, that's President Kennedy. Crater face. We must be at the bottom of a wishing well or something.
I always used to believe that when you threw in a coin, it turned into your wish.
The kids begin to pocket the change, joyously filling their pockets with the money, and Steph pauses. Something is bothering her. She looks at the others. Wait, these are somebody else's wishes, not ours. Steph empties her pockets. The other kids pause, doing the same. Mouth pauses, putting one of the quarters into his pocket.
Yeah, well, this wish was mine, and it didn't come true.
Mikey stares at the map and then stares at the medallion he found around Chester Copperpot's neck. Mikey is puzzled, talking to himself.
What's this got to do with the map? Huh, One-Eyed Willie? I know the answer's here somewhere. I know how smart you are.
Mikey examines the medallion, looking for some sort of clue, and suddenly a splash in front of Data. Data fishes for what landed in the water. He removes a silver dollar. He looks at the other kids, surprised. Hey, what's the K to be making dollar wishes? In exterior wishing well night, Troy sits at the side of the well, his red Mustang in the background. He's just tossed the silver dollar. Troy is drinking buds with 3 of his muscular friends. One of the friends gives a cockeyed smile to Troy.
What'd you wish for?
To make it with Andy.
Suddenly, the silver dollar flies back out of the well, hitting Troy in the head. He glares down into the well.
Hey, who's down there?
Interior wishing well night. Everybody goes nuts. The Goonies scream and cheer for help.
Hey,
Hey, those
the line.
line!
Down here!
We're down here.
No.
Down here.
Exterior, wishing well, night. A hopeful Troy looks at his friends. He shouts back into the well.
Andy, that your voice I hear?
Interior, wishing well, night. Andy screams, thinking only of herself.
Yeah, Troy, I'm down here. How about sitting down the bucket and rope, please? Save me.
Exterior, wishing well, night.
See, dudes, wishing do come true.
Troy lowers the bucket into the well. Interior, wishing well, night. The kids wait, excited, but Mikey stands alone, staring at the medallion and the map, a puzzled, confused look on his face. He talks to himself.
I know I can't beat you. This is just another one of your tricks, right, One-Eyed Willie?
We cut to the interior of Sloth's room, night. Sloth sits with his back to us. He sits in front of the TV, his face a few inches from the screen. He's watching a pirate movie. Jake and Francis carry Chunk inside. They sit his chair directly beside Sloth. Sloth doesn't notice, too interested in the show. Jake smirks at Sloth.
Hey, don't sit too close to the TV. Screw up your ammo.
Jake and Francis laugh. Sloth ignores him. They exit the room. Chunk stares ahead, scared. He still can't see Sloth's face. He emits a nervous laugh, trying to be friendly.
Hi, how are you? My name's Lawrence. Everybody calls me Chunk. Guess that's 'cause I eat too much Twinkie juice.
Sloth turns from the TV, emitting a loud, angry growl. We see Sloth's face for the first time, lit by the flickering blue of the TV screen. Sloth's misshapen head is enormous, rectangular, a small patch of grayish hair. It sits on the top of his pointed skull. His neck and temple are shaved. His ears are huge. His wide, bulbous nose stretches across his face. His lips are thick, dripping with saliva. His front teeth protrude, crooked, yellow. His eyes are crooked. One sits in the middle of his cheek, and the other is in its proper place, a monstrosity. Chunk screams, "Ah!" Trapped. Sloth gives a high-pitched giggle. He's found a friend. Interior basement kitchen. Mama and the boys inspect the fireplace passageway, each carrying a pistol and a flashlight. Francis is holding the doubloon, studying it. Mama kicks out the fireplace grid and stares into the tunnel. And she starts down into the tunnel. Jake and Francis cock their pistols and follow Mama inside. We cut to the interior of the wishing well, night. The bucket has lowered to the bottom. Andy grabs it first. The other guys gather around, excited, hopeful. But Mikey is still staring at the map and medallion, still puzzled, still mumbling to himself. Mikey sees that the bucket has arrived. Andy puts her foot into the bucket, and Mikey shouts to her,
Andy, wait! We've got this other clue. Chester Copperport. Never got this far. We have a chance.
A chance at what, Mikey? Getting killed? Look, if we keep going, somebody's gonna get dead. Maybe killed. Boulders, bats, gorillas. Well, just imagine what kind of other stuff is down here. Besides, we gotta get to the police.
Chunk probably already got to the police.
Unless he's dead.
Don't say that. Never, ever say that. Goonies never die.
I'm not a Goonie.
Right, I forgot for a second. But you guys, don't you understand? The next time you see the sky, it'll be over another town. The next time you take a test, it'll be at some other school. Our moms and dads want the best of stuff for us, but they got to do what's good for them because it's their time now. Down here, it's our time. But that's all over the minute we ride up in Troy's bucket.
Andy pauses. Mikey takes a shot of Promethean mist. He looks at all of the kids. He gives a strong, determined look to everyone.
Look, a couple years ago, my mom and dad got on that big game show. Remember, Bran? Mom spent a month making those funny costumes. She was a giant egg. Dad was a frying pan. My dad kept saying we were going to live in a place called Easy Street. So we drove all the way to Hollywood. When we got there, they put us up in the big audience with all these other people in funny costumes. Then some dude with lipstick and sprayed hair came down the stairs. He walks up to us. First, he makes Mom guess how much toilet bowl cleaner costs. She gets it right. Then he makes my dad guess what a jar of ragu spaghetti sauce weighs, and he gets it right. Then he asks my dad, the big prize is behind door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3. Now, my dad's lucky number was always 2. If we can scroll. And he got married on August 2. He got his job on June 2. He's got 2 kids.
Okay, we got the point. He took door 2.
No, that's the weird part. For some reason, he took door number 3. So the game show guys screams, "Congratulations! You just won 1,000!" And the door swings open, and this is a huge glass jar is sitting there in the middle of the stage filled with toothpicks. 1,000 toothpicks. Yeah. Everything okay?
Okay.
Hey,
Everyone
Andy.
this. Troy shouts from.
Hey, Andy. You coming or not?
He pulls the rope. Andy pulls back, lingering for another moment, fascinated by Mikey's story.
Everyone in the place was laughing. Even Mom and Dad smiled. But I could see on their faces they knew they were never going to live on Easy Street. They blew their chance. This is it, guys. On Monday, all our living rooms turn into golf holes. This is our last chance. I mean, I'd feel like a real jerk if some guy like Troy dug up all the rich stuff just because we're too chicken shit to go for it.
Everyone looks at each other. How can they argue? I mean, they're going for their treasure. Troy gets from above.
Hey, Andy. You want to stay down there with the Goonies? Or are you going to come up here where you belong? I ain't got all night.
Andy pauses, turning to the others. They stare at Andy, waiting for her decision. Exterior wishing well night. Troy begins to pull the bucket and rope. It is heavy. Troy gives a victorious smile to his friends. The bucket arrives at the top of the well. Troy is met with a shocking. The bucket is wearing Troy's leather sweater, and Troy grabs the leather sweater. The bucket is filled with pebbles and rocks. His friends chuckle. A humiliated Troy turns and walks to his Mustang. Closer on Mustang, Troy reaches dejectedly for the door handle as the sheriff's car suddenly pulls up, lights blazing.
Hey, Troy, hold up.
What are you doing out here, Sheriff?
Trying to stop a lynching, son. Mine. All hell's bust loose over a bunch of missing Goonies. I got the parents calling me, the newspaper's calling me, the mayor's calling me, and I'm sure as hell don't want to tell you what they're calling me.
Jeez. I wish I could help you, Sheriff,
Well, someone said they saw you and Andy walking with one of them earlier today. Stephanie. God, these goddamn Polish names.
me? Walking with a Goonie? When my ass learns how to chew gum, Sheriff?
Well, when it does, son, You be sure to give me a call. There's a damn few things left in this world I'd pay to see, but that's one of them.
The sheriff's car roars off, and Troy watches, guilty but defiant.
Interior, wishing well night. Andy stands in front of Mikey, prepared to take the Goonie vow. Mikey gives a serious look at Andy.
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me.
Andy raises her right hand. She repeats every word Mikey says.
I will never betray my Goondock friends. We will stick together until the whole world ends. Through heaven and hell and nuclear war, good pals like us will stick like tar. In the city or the country or the forest or the boonies, I am proudly declared a fellow Leech.
Leech? You mean Goonie?
I mean leech, all over your arm, leeches.
Andy looks at her arm. There are countless tiny black slimy leeches covering her arm. The kids panic. Everyone is covered in little bloodsuckers. They dash out of the water. Interior, Sloth's room. Night. Close up. TV screen. Julia's child prepares a chocolate fudge cake. She pours creamy chocolate frosting over a double-layered cake. Camera pulls back. Chuck and Sloth both stare at the TV screen, both their mouths watering over the food. They are both increasingly hungry. Sloth utters a word. If a grizzly bear could speak, it would sound like Sloth.
Chocolate. Chocolate.
Chuck gives an approving smile back. They stare. They share a common love. Chuck remembers something. Although his hands are tied, he has enough freedom to move into the back pocket. Chuck's fingers dig into the pocket. He removes a somewhat crushed almond joy. Chuck lifts the candy bar, swallowing it or showing it to Sloth. Sloth gives a giant smile.
Almond joy. Almond joy.
Chunk tries to throw the candy bar to Sloth. It lands between the both on the floor, out of Chunk and Sloth's reach. Sloth growls, angry, upset. He begins to pull at the chain. The bind his legs to the wall. Chuck watches, frightened. Sloth pulls harder, grunting, groaning. The wall surrounding the bolts begins to give. Plaster cracks, crumbles. The bolts fly out of the wall. The chains drop to the floor. Sloth's legs are free. Chunk shakes his head. Jeez, mister, you even hungrier than I am. Sloth gives a wheezing laugh. He begins to pull at the chains that binds his arms. Chunk just watches. Cut to interior wishing well night. The kids are covered with leeches. They are in a frenzy, helpless. And Andy tries to shake the leeches from her arm and fingers. Bran tries to pull off the leeches. Mikey tries to dance off the leeches. Nothing works. The leeches are stuck. Dada thinks fast. Opening a yellow vial blanket, he removed from this medium size 20-volt battery. He hurriedly connects to the two wires to the battery. Data runs to the edge of the water pool. Data keeps his feet in the shallow section. He inserts the ends of the battery wires into the water. A low voltage shock surges through Data. The leeches fall off of his body, electrocuted. Data's motions for the others to join him. As each person steps into the water, the Data inserts the two wires. A success. The device removes the leeches for everyone. Only Andy and Steph remain. Andy steps into the water. She gets her electric shock, and smile slowly appears on her face. Her knees buckled, weak. She emits a sigh, followed by a tiny squeal. The same thing happened to Steph. Once they are out of the water, Steph whispers to Andy,
I got all tingly. Oh, just my luck. I'm in love with the pond.
Oh, who's responsible for that?
Andy looks at Data, who is holding up the two electrical wires. Data victoriously smiles and wiggles his eyebrows suggestingly. Andy slaps Data across the face. This causes a chain reaction to Data's body, booby traps body. Tiny G.I. Joe dolls pop out of Data's shirt and fire a single shot plastic projectile at Andy. The GI Joe goes back down into Data's shirt. Not unlike a cuckoo clock, Andy rolls her eyes. Interior Chester Copperpot Tunnel. And agonized scream is heard as Jake tries to pull Mama over the top of the boulder, while Francis pushes from behind. The lady is suspended over the huge rock, and as the two boys struggle hard.
Push! Damn, goddamn you! Before this one pulls my arms out, push!
Francis gives a mighty shove up on Mama behind as she lunges forward with a roar. Instantly slaps Jake in the face.
What was that for?
For what your brother just did.
Why'd you hit him?
He isn't here yet.
Mama, look.
They see a skeleton of Chester Copperpot lying on the ground. Jake leans down, picking up the wallet, opens it.
Niente. Kids must have cleaned him out.
Sure. Right before they ate him.
Stupid. This is Chester Copperpot. He went looking for the missing treasure of William B. Portobello, better known as One-Eyed Willie.
That's what this is from?
One-Eyed Willie was one of the most ingenious pirates of the 16th century. The guy started out as a court jester, but was banished from 5 Spanish courts because of his off-color stories and practical jokes.
Jake grabs the doubloon from Mama. He stays behind, examining the doubloon, as Mama and Francis continue ahead.
So Willie formed this pirate band, and they set sail on the ship Inferno. Willie and his men marauded hundreds of the king's ships. They accumulated a treasure worth millions. Legend has it that while being attacked by 3 of the king's ships, Willie steered into his stricken ship into a hidden underground cavern which the British sealed with their cannon fire. Willie and the other survivors spent the next couple of years hiding out, trying to repair the inferno. And they built a bunch of underground caves loaded with all kinds of weird booby traps to protect the treasure. And one of his men escaped to tell Willie's story. And that's been the local legend around here for a couple hundred years.
Meanwhile, Jake is still standing, stands in the background, staring at the doubloon. Jake is standing directly below the hole where earlier the gorilla had fallen. Suddenly, a large hairy gorilla's arm reaches down. The arm grabs the toupee off Jake's head.
Ma!
What happened to your piece?
Nothing, Ma. I got it right here.
Your hair piece.
Oh.
Jake remembers, then looks at Mama with fear in his eyes.
I can't tell you, Ma.
What do you mean you can't tell me?
If I do, you'll let me have it again.
No, I ain't. Just tell me, son.
Okay, some huge freaking hairy thing took it.
You're a smart boy, Jake.
Yeah? What's that, Ma?
You knew I was gonna hit you.
Oh!
Jake.
Ah!
Jake turns and runs. Suddenly, there's a loud bang. Jake whacks Francis in the face.
Your message for Ma!
Don't slap your brother.
Jake launches backwards from the blow. Suddenly, there is a large bang. Francis jumps. We hear another loud bang. Francis draws his pistol, fires as Mama and Jake duck for cover. Jumps. He begins to run again. We hear another bang and another. Jake fires his pistol. Up ahead, Mama and Francis duck for cover.
We cut to the interior tunnel leading to a dead end. The Goonies are frozen in their section of the passageway. The bangs are audible far back in the passageway. The kids exchange a frightened, panicked glance.
What was that? What was that sound?
My booby traps. I put those on the ground so we can hear if somebody is following us.
The kids all exchange a shocked pause. The realization suddenly hits them. Steph screams.
Oh, that means somebody's following us.
With a scream, all of the kids run off into the passageway. We cut to the interior of the Chester Copperpot tunnel. Jake manages to catch his breath. Mama examines the floor beneath him. She picks up a row of caps from beneath Jake's shoe. She gives Jake a slap to the head. What your problem? Find your gun over a bunch of kitty caps? We cut to the interior tunnel leading to the dead end. The Goonies are running through the passageway. Data leads the way with a flare. His light illuminates a gradual rise in elevation. The kids round a corner, arriving in a small, confined area. A dead end. The flare goes out. Data reaches back. His hand fumbles over a stick of dynamite, but grabbing another flare instead. Meanwhile, a look of panic seizes Brand. He begins to hyperventilate, becoming more claustrophobic, and Andy tries to comfort him.
Great. Another dead end. What now, huh? Now what? Huh?
We go back the same way we came in. Mikey looks at the map, puzzled, talking to himself.
It's got to go on, right, One-Eyed Willie? You wouldn't end it here. You always have something up your sleeve.
In the background, Brand continues to freak out. His face has become a deep, pulsing red. His eyes bulge, crazed. He's on the verge of explosion.
I can't breathe. Is this wall here? You guys use him up here. Is this wall?
Mikey finds a Spanish phrase written on the map that corresponds to where the kids are. Mikey points it out to Mouth, and Mouth translates.
Copper bones, triple stones, westward foams.
Here's copper bones.
Everyone looks around. They're surrounded by mossy earthen walls. Everyone is interrupted by a scream, and Brand snaps.
I got it! You guys don't come here! You stuck it on! Let me out! Let me out! Let me out! Let me!
Brand begins to literally climb the walls. He tears and rips the walls with his hands, and he tears off the moss. He rips out pieces of earth and roots, and the Goonies each grab a piece of Brand, trying to hold him back. And finally, they get him to the ground, and they pile on top of him. When he finally relaxes, the kids get off, one by one. Steph lifts up her shirt and motions for Brand to put his head inside.
Okay, breathe your own carbon dioxide. It's good for you.
Brand's head is stuffed beneath Steph's shirt, his head buried in her chest. Andy just stares, her eyes angry. Steph notices this and pushes Brand out from beneath her shirt and toward Andy.
I think maybe Andy's better equipped for this.
Andy nods. Brand stuffs his head under her shirt. Meanwhile, Mikey turns to the wall that Brand has raped. The wall has been completely stripped of earth and moss, and all that remains is a stone wall of jutting stone pegs. They appear to be very natural, but they manage to catch Mikey's eye, and he smiles, talking to himself.
Copper bones. Triple stones.
Mikey begins to try and fit the copper medallion's holes over 3 of the jutting stone pegs. He tries several stones, but nothing seems to fit. The kids are gathered around Mikey. In the background, Brand is still buried beneath Andy's shirt. The other Goonies curiously watch Mikey.
What's he doing?
He's flipping. He's flipped. Just like his brother, just like the rest of us pretty soon. We're all gonna go batty, one by one. Pretty soon, we'll all be eating each other. Fingers to stay alive.
Mikey suddenly fits the medallion over 3 jutting stones. A perfect fit. Mikey whispers to himself, puzzled.
Westward foams.
Foam. My granddad has a dog that's foamed after it got bit by a skunk.
Oh, shaving foam. Foam? Yeah, foam. Oh, there's foam in the ocean when it breaks on a shore.
The ocean's to the west.
Mikey tries to turn the medallion to the west. Suddenly, like a built-in doorknob, the medallion and the stones turn. We hear a loud creaking sound. Mikey steps back. The kids exchange a puzzled look. Suddenly, a cannonball flies out of a secret compartment in the wall. The kids jump back. The cannonball rolls into a small path that we see is meant for the cannonball, and in typical Rube Goldberg fashion, the cannonball sets off a series of events that climaxes with the floor beneath Data flipping open. This sends Data flying and screaming into the deep darkness of the new hole. Interior hole with wooden spikes. The camera enters the hole with the falling Data. Data screams and flies through the darkness toward the bottom. As Data falls closer to the bottom, we cut to Data's POV. Coming at him, a skeleton is visible, standing at the bottom of the tunnel, surrounded by sharp wooden spikes. Interior tunnel at the dead end. The Goonies stand over the hole. Data screams suddenly die, coming to an abrupt stop. The kids pause, looking at each other. A frightened, questioning look fills their eyes. They gather around the hole. The kids peer inside. There is nothing but blackness. Brand calls out.
Data? Data?
There's no answer. Andy's face goes white. She shouts in the hole, panicked. Data! Data! Oh my God! Hail Mary, full of grace.
They probably got Chunk. Data! 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 He went down. I could have grabbed him. I was there this close. This close. He really.
Gone.
Upon hearing this, everyone breaks down and starts crying. Mikey, already sobbing, starts to cry uncontrollably. Brand, who's been holding Andy, leaves her to put his arms around Mikey. He lifts Mikey up and the two brothers clutch each other.
I'm gonna miss the way he used to shout out all our names and those goofy inventions of his. Glasses of death, bully blinders, smoke screen.
And suddenly a voice echoes from below.
Pinchers of peril!
A look of hope covers the kids' faces, and they shout into the hole.
Data!
Yeah!
Data!
Are you okay?
You okay? Speak to us!
Interior hole with wooden spikes. Data hangs a few inches from the top of the skeleton's head. He's been saved by his pinchers of peril. They have clamped onto a jutting rock several feet above Data, and he dangles in midair, bobbing up and down on the slinky-like coil, and he screams upwards.
Pinchers of peril! I've been saved by my pinchers of peril!
Data looks down. The skeleton below him seems to be part of a new passageway. There's a phosphorescent light glimmering through the passageway, and Data shouts.
Hey, you guys, I found another hole. It's all lit up down here.
Interior tunnel at the dead end. Up above, the Goonies exchange a puzzled glance. Bran notices he's still holding on to Mikey. He drops him like a small sack of fertilizer and moves over to reclaim his territory on Andy.
Interior sloth's room. Two giant hairy hands ripping the almond joy candy bar in two. Camera pulls back. We are back in Sloth's room. Sloth has torn his bindings from the wall. The fragments of heavy chains still hang from his arms and legs. Chunk still sits beside Sloth, tied up, in his chair. Sloth gobbles down half of the candy bar. He pauses and puts the other half into Chunk's mouth. Chunk happily chews. Sloth walks towards Chunk, his dark shadow towering over Chunk. Sloth's arms reach out for Chunk. Chunk panics, thinking he's going to be killed.
Wait, please don't.
Sloth grabs Chunk by the shoulders. Sloth lifts Chunk up from the chair, up into the air, until their faces are on the same level, and Chunk is still frightened. Sloth leans forward and kisses Chunk on the lips. It's a harmless, gentle kiss. Sloth's expression of friendship. Sloth leans back and giggles. Chuck grimaces.
Man, you smell like F.E.
Sloth drops Chunk. Chunk and the chair hit the floor. Smash! The chair breaks into several pieces, and Chunk gets to his feet, free. Chunk brushes him off. Sloth grabs Chunk's head.
Hey, where are you? What are you?
Sloth pulls Chunk out of the room. Interior basement kitchen. Sloth pulls Chunk inside. Sloth runs to the freezer. He opens the door. He looks back at Chunk. T-bone! Sloth rips open the freezer's plastic bag. He removes a thick frozen T-bone steak. Sloth takes a huge bite from the frozen meat, chewing the crunchy steak. Sloth offers a bite to Chunk. Chunk declines.
No, you keep it. I like mine not so crunchy.
Sloth shrugs. He continues eating the steak, bones and all. Chunk spots a telephone. He walks out of the freezer and grabs the phone. Chunk dials a 3-digit number.
Hello? Sheriff? I'm at the old lighthouse lounge. And, well, I'd like to report a first there's a murder. Actually, 2 murders. Plus, we found some hideouts of those Fatellis people. Then,
Wait, just hold on here. Is this you again, Lawrence?
yeah, it is.
When the hell are you gonna stop bugging me? Do I have to call your mother again?
Meanwhile, Sloth has begun to devour a frozen turkey. He rips the turkey apart, and one of the legs flies out of Sloth's hands, bouncing into the fireplace. Sloth runs to the fireplace. Chunk tries to convince the sheriff.
Sheriff, this time I'm telling the truth.
Yeah, just like the time you told me 50 Iranian terrorists took over every Sizzler steakhouse in the city.
Okay, I admit, that was a joke.
Sloth reaches into the fireplace hole, trying to find a turkey leg. He notices the dark passageway. He looks into the blackness. Sloth emits a roar into the passageway. The passageway echoes back with another roar. Sloth laughs. He roars again. Another echo answers back. And Sloth laughs harder. He's found another friend. Chunk still tries to convince the sheriff.
Honest, Sheriff, you gotta believe me.
I do? Just like the last prank about all those little creatures that multiply when you throw water on them?
Chunk notices something. Sloth is climbing into the fireplace.
Sheriff, hold on. Wait! Get back here! Hey!
As Chunk does this, he clumsily tears the the phone out of the wall, and Sloth continues to crawl into the fireplace, chasing his new friend. Seeing that there is no chance to repair the phone, Chunk runs to the fireplace and follows Sloth inside.
We cut to an interior hole with wooden spikes. The kids have lowered themselves into the new passageway from a length of rope. A dim phosphorus light fills the area caused by microscopic sea creatures and plankton. Interior circular chamber. They walk into a circular chamber with 3 separate tunnels. The skeleton, dressed in pirate's clothing, is suspended in a chain-like contraption amidst a series of sharp wooden spikes in the middle of the room. The kids stare at the skeleton, puzzled, shocked by what they see. The kids slowly inch their way toward the skeleton. Mikey notices that the 3 tunnels all lead off in different directions. Nothing in particular distinguishes one tunnel from the other. The kids are puzzled, confused.
Hey, Mikey, which doors the 100,000 toothpicks behind?
The camera moves in on Mikey. Can history be repeating itself and handing Mikey a second chance? He looks at the map. Andy is bouncing up and down on one leg. She has to go to the bathroom. She turns to Steph, and Steph is also bouncing up and down on one leg. And Andy pulls Steph's arm, and they sneak off together into one of the 3 tunnels. Everyone is too concerned with one-eyed Willie to notice. Meanwhile, Mikey has found the spot on the map where the path veers off into the 3 directions. A Spanish riddle is written here. Mikey points this out to Mouth, and Mouth examines the phrase, and he translates in the voice of Peter Lorre.
3 tunnels? 3 tunnels of mystery. All lead to unknown. To tunnel correctly, trickle the funny bone.
Everyone turns to the skeleton, looking for the funny bone.
I know it's door number 2. This time it's gotta be the middle tunnel. Everything's behind the second door.
It's what Dad should have picked.
Yeah, well, maybe my dad would have picked door 3. And maybe Dada's would have picked door 1. We can't be stupid. We not rushing into anything anymore.
Cut to the interior of the kissing tunnel. Andy and Steph have finished their business. They're without a flashlight or flare. And Steph turns to go back, and Andy pauses, giggling. She composes herself and cries out, "Oh, Brand! Brand! Oh, it's so dark over here. I tripped over something. I think maybe I sprained my ankle."
How can you be thinking about Brand at a time like this?
Because if we never get out of here, if this is going to be my last day on Earth, if we're going to be doomed and condemned, I'm going to make Brand Walsh my last meal. Interior circular chamber. Brand and the boy surrounding the dangling one-eyed Willy skeleton, still looking for the funny bone, and Andy's voice echoes from the tunnel. Brand! Brand sighs. He gives a slap to Mikey.
Go see if she's dragging him out.
Mikey follows Andy's voice into one of the tunnels. Brand looks to the others.
Okay, so we gotta tickle but where's the funny bone?
Mouse tickles behind the skeleton's elbow. This triggers a loud creaking sound, and suddenly a skeleton shoots out of one of the caves, dressed as the Angel of Death. The skeleton is carrying a large scythe, its rusted blade long and sharp. And the booby-trapped skeleton speeds across the floor, fastened to a wooden board with wheels. The scythe blade coming straight for the boys' heads. The sickle blade just missing their heads by less than an inch. The skeleton slams into the far wall, shattering into a million pieces. The boys catch their breath. Cut to the interior of the wishing well. The Fratellis make their way out of the small water pool. They're smoking cigarettes, burning off the leeches with the fiery end of the cigarettes. Mama spots footprints leading out of the pond. She smiles. They went this way. There's little Nike prints all over the ground. Mama, Jake, and Francis continue forward. Interior the kissing tunnel, Mikey walks through the twisting tunnel looking for Andy. She crouches a few feet ahead at the edge of the dark corner, waiting. Steph watches. In the background, Andy calls again. Brand! Hurry! Andy hears footsteps coming her way. She exchanges a smile with Steph. The footsteps get closer. Mikey rounds the corner and Andy wraps her arms around him. In the darkness, Andy mistakes Mikey for Brand, and Andy kisses Mikey. A long, passionate, open-mouthed kiss. Steph watches, realizing that it's Mikey. She hides her laughter. Andy finally stops, and she leans against the wall, out of breath, eyes closed, in dreamland. A giant smile covers her face. As startled but ecstatic, Mikey doesn't say a word. He looks at Steph. She gives him a wink. She won't divulge his secret. Mikey turns. He moves back to the boys, and Andy opens her eyes. Steph gives her a questioning look.
I can't see. I've messed up somehow.
You're right here. It says, okay.
Yeah, no, the screen has gotten
Zoom.
really, really big and I can't see the words.
Oh no.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what I did. I don't know what I did.
Just hit Control and the minus sign. Try that.
Yeah.
Will that work? Here, I'll make it smaller for you. Can you see it now?
Yeah, but it's like over to the side. I don't know what I
What
did.
did you do?
Exit full screen. Let's see what that does. I mean, I can't even see everyone anymore.
Oh
Because I've been
no, yeah,
trying
you
to
definitely accidentally pushed
things.
Zoom.
You
I
can't.
think you need to push Control and the minus key. Try that. Keep trying
I
that.
don't see that. I can't.
No, on your
your
keyboard.
Control
Possibly.
minus. Control
What
minus.
do you
right
see?
next to the 0.
If that doesn't work, maybe escape. Top left button.
Escape. It's staying the same. What did
All
I
right.
do?
You can't see us, right?
I can see only you.
Only me.
You might have right click. You might have pinned her.
Oh yeah, that might have been what happened.
Do you see the 3 dots on the top of Kat's window?
Now it's you, Jacob.
Oh, it's whoever's talking.
Yeah, it's
Um,
depends whoever's talking.
so you don't see
Got
the
it on
shared screen.
You want me to
Yeah,
stop share for a sec?
Yeah, maybe stop share, then reshare.
All right.
Oh, wow. Now Jacob's really big. Oh, now Kat's really big and everyone else is at the top. What have I done?
Ah,
Why don't you, can you
And
see
I've
the
lost the
view?
script. The script
That's
is
okay.
gone.
Yeah, the script I took off.
just
Can you
gone.
go up to, can you see the view button in the top right corner?
Yes, that's where I've
Click
been
on that.
playing.
Can you click on that and maybe go down to gallery?
Gallery. Okay. There we are.
Okay.
We're back.
All
But
right.
no,
And I'm
yeah,
gonna
okay.
reshare the screen and see what happens here.
I think I pushed everything but gallery.
Ah.
Oops, let's try this one. All right. And here's our script. Make it
Oh, yay.
larger.
Oh, no, now it's still like wonky.
The
Oh, that's
script is
weird.
wonky.
Yeah, the script itself.
One other thing you could try, Vicky, is leaving and then coming back to the Zoom link.
Okay. I will try that. Bye-bye.
Okay.
See you in a second.
Should we take a 5-minute break?
Sure, it's a great place to take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, we should wait till Vicky comes back so she knows.
Yeah.
I'll stay here.
Thank you.
All right.
But you guys can go take a 5-minute break. I'll stay here and wait for Vicky.
All right. See you in about 5 minutes then. There she is.
Yay, we're back.
Okay. Is the screen okay now?
Yeah, it's
All
there
right.
and it's full. It's small, but it's there.
Oh, yeah, it is smaller than it was. We decided to take a 5-minute break. So if
Sorry
you
about
need a
that,
break,
guys.
That's fine.
I still don't know what I did.
Let's see if I can make my screen larger again here.
Okay, I could use a quick break.
Yep, go ahead.
Did you get it fixed now, Vicky?
Yeah, exiting worked.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it.
And what I did, I don't know. I'll never know.
Maybe
Uh,
it might do it again. Then you can find out.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Let's hope not. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I did look up earlier, and it's funny. Like I think he was also a writer on Goonies that was a few years before or whatever, or is it? I mean, not Goonies, Gremlins, or it was 1 year before, because he referenced his own movie like within this own script within the script. That was cool.
I'm really enjoying this. I love it. I like playing Chuck. He's fun.
Chunk. Mhm.
Chunk.
Yeah, actually, that's why I was kind of trying not to laugh because I was like, oh, it's a Gremlins reference.
There was another spot. Yeah, so that Gremlins came out in 1984. This one came out in 1985. Chris
Yeah.
Columbus would write on both. And there's another scene he was referencing of like Chunk inside the theater scene. And so I was wondering, I'm like, does that have anything to do with Stand By Me? Which I think came out the year after, but it didn't because that's what's his name?
All right.
Okay.
Stephen
fine.
King.
Are we ready
Okay.
to pick back up?
Yeah.
Stephen King, yes.
Steph gives a questioning look.
Okay, you kissed. Now tell.
Well, he's not what he appears. He's scholarly and sensitive and very, very sweet, but there's something weird.
Well, what's that?
I think he wears braces.
Next time, you gotta kiss him with your eyes open. It's a whole different experience.
Steph pulls Andy's arm and they move back to the chamber. Interior circular chamber. The boys still sit in front of One-Eyed Willie, shaken, puzzled, trying to figure out where the funny bone is located. Mikey enters, following a few seconds later by Steph and Andy. They see the smashed skeleton with a scythe, puzzled.
Okay, everybody turn around and hide your eyes.
Hide
What?
our eyes?
Hey,
Turn around.
hey, you want to get out of here or not?
The guys shrug. What can they lose? Everyone turns around and hides their eyes. When Steph gets the privacy she wants, she reaches out and grabs the skeleton's crotch. A moment passes. A creaking sound. The kids brace themselves for another booby-trapped scare. But this time, old One-Eyed Willie's body contorts. The chain holding the skeleton's right arm begins to move, and slowly the arm raises, it stops in midair, and the finger points to door number 3. Steph smiles.
Okay, you guys can turn around.
The kids turn and see the skeleton pointing to the third door. But the kids are puzzled. How does Steph figure this out?
What'd you do, Steph?
I just knew where the funny bone was. Okay.
The boys know better than to ask any questions. Mikey seems disappointed the skeleton is pointing to door number 3. Mouth puts his arm around Mikey.
Guess the old man would have lost down here too.
Mikey doesn't say a word as the others begin to move through door number 3. But Mikey gets a sudden idea. He covers his right eye with his hand and he stares at the skeleton's finger. He moves his hand and covers his eyes again, and he smiles. Realization.
Hey, guys, wait.
The kids pause. Mikey looks at everyone.
Okay, so One-Eyed really only had one eye, right?
Yeah.
And if you only got one eye, well, you sort of see things different way.
Mike covers his eye. The other kids follow suit and do the same thing. And they see that when you cover your eye, the skeleton actually points to the middle tunnel.
It's the middle tunnel. Door number 2.
My mouth shrugs, reluctantly agreeing, and everyone congratulates
Actually,
Mikey as they run into the middle tunnel. And we switch narrators to...
Interior Chester Copperpot Tunnel. Sloth is running through the passageway, eating the frozen turkey leg. Chunk is a few steps behind Sloth. Sloth walks through the tunnel. He emits a loud scream into the dark passageway. An echo again answers back. Sloth chuckles, continuing forward. Chunk grabs Sloth's arm, trying to explain.
Wait, listen to me. There's not a person. There's just your echo. Understand? Your echo.
Sloth pauses. His face lights. He nods, thinking he understands Chunk.
Eggo. Eggo waffle.
No,
Sloth turns and continues forward, excitedly repeating, Eggo waffle! To himself. Chunk follows, trying to reason with Sloth.
no, not ego. Echo. Echo.
Eggo.
Echo.
Eggo.
Okay. Have it your way.
Sloth pauses, then grins, his eyes dancing like pinballs with instant recognition.
Have it your way.
Chunk beams, immediately joining in as the two fast friends head off down the tunnel singing together.
Actually, my favorite is Domino's pizza. I'll take you to one of them when we get back.
Interior cavern under zoo. Suddenly, a growl is heard. Sloth pauses. He looks around. A frightened Chunk hides behind Sloth. Suddenly, a hairy gorilla's arm reaches down from above and grabs a turkey leg from Sloth's hand. But Sloth doesn't let go. Sloth pulls the leg. The gorilla pulls back. A tug of war. Exterior Cauldron Point Zoo, night. We see Bonzo having a tug of war with someone underground. Bertha grabs hold of Bonzo, assisting her mate. Underground, the tug of war continues, but Sloth is stronger. He manages to pull Bonzo and Bertha through the hole and inside the passageway. Sloth is met face to face with two gorillas. Bonzo and Bertha growl, ready to kill, but Sloth steps into a silver sliver of light. When the gorillas see Sloth's face, they are terrified. Sloth growls and snaps, leaping forward, and Bertha and Bonzo panic, dashing forward into the passageway. Bonzo and Bertha run several feet and leap up the walls, trying to burrow out of the ceiling. Exterior filling station. Troy and his friends have stopped at the gas station. A middle-aged attendant in greasy work clothes fills the gas tank of Troy's Mustang. Troy and his friends get out of the car. They're guzzling bottles of Heineken. Troy fumbles through his pockets to pay the station attendant. Troy looks at the front fender. He spots a microscopic, nearly invisible scratch.
Look at that. Look what you did. That scratch wasn't there this morning.
I wasn't even close to that side of the car.
Yeah, right. You Goonies got an excuse for everything.
Troy slugs some beer. We hear a ding ding in the background as another vehicle pulls up at the pumps.
You better start licking up for food. Food stamps, pal. My old man, best friends with the guy who owns this station. You can kiss your job goodbye.
Another ding ding. The irritated attendant turns toward the noise.
Listen, I'll be with you in a.
Angle on gorillas, his POV. The two gorillas leap out of the red golf cart on the other sides of the pumps, grunting in ecstasy at the sight of Troy's red automobile. They lumber toward it, tossing Troy and his friends to one side like Cabbage Patch dolls. Bonzo jumps onto the hood, caving it in, as Bertha leaps into the car. Bonzo takes his familiar place behind the wheel and reaches out to stomp on the pedal. The car lurches forward and drives away, erratically spinning from side to side. Troy gets to his feet, purple with rage.
Don't just stand there. Somebody do something. That car cost my dad $15,000.
The satisfied attendant rehooks the gas nozzle to the pump, checks the readings.
Plus 2250, Peckerhead. Plus 2250.
Interior circular chamber. Mama and the boys enter. They see the skeleton pointing to the third cave. Camera pans to the floor. We see the several Nike footprints leading into the middle cave. Francis stares at the skeleton.
Christ, Ma, it's like the Museum of Natural History.
Jake walks to the skeleton and begins to go through the skeleton's pockets.
Hey, maybe this guy's got some spare change.
Jake's hand reaches into the skeleton's crotch area. The skeleton's arm springs back to and socks Jake, knocking him to the ground. A raging Jake raises his pistol, ready to blow the skeleton's brains out. Mama interrupts.
Shh! Wait! Listen!
Jake and Francis pause. We hear the distant sound of the Goonies' voice echoing from the middle tunnel. Their voices are high, squealing with excitement, as if they've just discovered something. A menacing smile slithers across Mama's face. She checks her revolver, and makes sure it's loaded. Interior passageway with mast over water. The Goonies have arrived in a large section of the passageway. A long, crooked wooden mast stretches across a deep stream of rushing waters. The mast is the only way to cross the stream, which leads to a skull-shaped opening in the wall. Countless living starfish line the surrounding walls. Close group shot. For the first time, all of the Goonies sense the impending magic of Mikey's adventure. All stares, jaws limp, and Andy whispers to Brand.
Brand, hold my hand. I gotta be sure this is real.
Andy reaches out for Brand's hand. Mikey reaches back and grabs Andy's hand first. Andy can't tell the difference, but Brand, who stands ahead of Mikey, gropes back for Andy's hand. Mikey thinks fast and grabs the starfish from the wall, puts the starfish into Brand's hand. Brand is satisfied, thinking he's holding Andy's hand. Mikey smiles to himself. Brand moves his hand forward. He sees the starfish. Letting out a scream, he pulls the starfish from his hand. Mikey quickly lets go of Andy's hand. He can't hide his giggle. Brand notices. He grabs Mikey in the headlock.
You little wuss, you want to play games? We'll play.
They all are suddenly interrupted by the sound of banging caps. The kids exchange startled glance.
That sound again.
And it isn't as far back this time.
The kids emit a mutual scream. They run for the mast and begin to climb the mast. Some of the kids balance themselves, trying to walk across. Others straddle the mast, crawling toward the skull-shaped opening. The old mast creaks and groans. With every move, a low, ominous voice suddenly echoes through the chamber.
Ooh, boys. Ooh, shit.
Jerk alert.
The kids stop and turn, having made it halfway along the mast. Someone else picked up for 47. Do I read that too?
147, yep.
Okay. Mama, Jake, and Francis stand at the entrance of to the passageway at the foot of the mast, over 75 yards away from the Goonies. Mama raises her pistol towards the kids.
Not one more step.
The kids look at each other, turn, and move faster along the mast, practically crawling over each other to make it to the opening. Mama shoots. A section of the mast is hit, blowing it to smithereens. The kids continue to run. Mama fires another shot. The bullet zips past Mikey, just missing him. It blows away a section of the wood directly in front of him. The kids arrive at the top, running into the opening. Mama and the boys dash forward, beginning to cross the mast. Before entering, Data turns, seeing the Fratellis coming after him with a gun. He reaches for a cord inside of his shirt. He pulls the cord and screams.
Slick shoes!
Both heels of Data's shoes pop open. A plastic tube extends. Black oil sprays out, splattering down the mast. As Mama balances herself on the mast, she raises her gun, aiming at Data. But the oil has splattered over the entire mast before Mama can fire a shot. She slips and falls, tumbling back into Jake and Francis. They nearly fall off the mast, holding on for dear life. Data cheers, but suddenly begins to slip himself. Seconds before he falls into the stream of water, Mikey grabs him and pulls Data into the chamber.
Interior of the organ chamber. The Goonies run inside, panicked, scared. The chamber is no more than 30 feet in length. Its passageway is blocked by a giant boulder. Brand and Mouse try to move the boulder that blocks the path. Too heavy, won't budge. The kids exchange a frightened glance. They're trapped. Built into the wall beside the boulder is a pipe organ. A quite unusual organ. Each piece, from the keys to the pedals, are constructed of human bones. Steph reaches out to hit a key. A frenzied Mikey opens a map, reading it with mouth, and Mikey shouts out to Steph,
"Wait, don't!"
Steph pauses. Mouth hurriedly reads another of the map's riddles. Beneath this riddle, a few bars of music are written, but a few of the notes are erased and smeared, a result of the map's age. Mouth translates the riddle.
To move on, play the tune. As each note is said, for too many mistakes, you will surely be dead.
You mean we gotta play the bones to get out of here?
Anybody know how to read music?
The kids shake their heads. Steph looks at Andy.
Hey, you were the only one of us who could afford piano lessons.
6 months of lessons? When I was 5?
Better than none.
Mikey gives her the map. Andy examines the bars of music. Dad is looking back through the tunnel entrance. Interior passageway with mast over water. From Data's point of view, Mama and the boys are back on their feet, red with anger. They attempt again to climb the mast, slipping, sliding, and struggling. Interior organ chamber, Data looks back to the Goonies.
Hey, you guys, they're coming.
Everyone turns to Andy, scared, helpless. Their survival is up to her. She gives a nervous shrug. I'll give it a shot. Andy takes a seat at the organ. She places the map on the music stand. Andy reads the first note slowly, and she pushes down the foot pedals. She presses one of the bone keys. A hollow, mysterious chord of air echoes through the tunnel. The boulder creaks, opening a crack. The kids exchange a hopeful smile. Andy reads the next 2 notes, and she hits 2 keys. 2 chords echo through the tunnel. The boulder creaks again, opening a little more. Less than an inch. Andy tries to read the next note. It's smeared, unreadable. Nervous, she plays a random note, and a sour chord blasts through the tunnel. A large chunk of the floor cracks. It drops out inches from Mikey's feet. He jumps back. There's now a large hole in the floor. Mikey peers down the hole. It's a 100-foot drop onto the floor of sharp stalagmites. Mikey catches his breath.
Oh my, oh God, oh God.
What? My whole life just flashed before me. Life? What life? You're 11 years old.
Andy is trembling, nervous. She attempts to read the note again. This time she plays a different key. The chord is clear, melodic. It sings through the tunnel. The boulder moves again, opening another inch. The kids emit a group sigh. Dada still keeps watch. Interior of the passageway with the mast over the water. Mama, Francis, and Jake are more than halfway along the mast. Francis slips, nearly falling into the stream, only his gun falling into the water. Francis composes himself and continues climbing upwards. Interior of the organ chamber, Data panics and he screams at Andy.
Hey, Andy, better play faster. They're getting closer.
Andy begins to play faster, and she hits several correct keys. The boulder slowly opens, inch by inch. But Andy suddenly hits a wrong note, and another huge section of floor drops out. Mouth nearly falls to his death. Steph grabs him, in the nick of time. Mom and the boys are only a few feet from the opening, and inside the organ chamber, Data screams at Andy.
Faster, Andy. You got to play faster.
Andy tries to play faster. This causes the boulder to open a little more quickly. But in the frenzy, Andy manages to hit a few wrong notes. The sour notes always trigger another section of the floor to drop out. The Goonies are diving, leaping, doing everything to avoid the deadly holes in the floor. Soon, only one section of the floor remains intact, the section holding the organ. All of the kids are clustered together, clutching, grabbing onto different sections of the organ. The remaining section of the floor tilts and quivers. If this section drops, the organ will crumble and all of the Goonies will fall to their death.
Mouth, say something funny.
We're all gonna die.
Andy nods, hand shaking, dripping with sweat. She hurriedly plays the final bar of notes. And Andy looks at the final note, completely blurred. Andy pauses, trying to decide what note to hit.
Andy, whatever you do, don't script another note.
Mama, Jake, and Francis arrive at the foot of the chamber, still slipping and sliding. They reach up, grabbing the chamber's ledge for support, trying to crawl inside. Interior of the organ chamber, Andy sits at the keyboard, frozen, trying to decide what note to hit. Seeing the Fratellis, Data shouts to Andy.
Just play the mother.
Andy closes her eyes, and she raises an index finger, and she randomly drops it onto the keyboard. A loud, melodic note sounds through the tunnel, and the boulder slowly opens, wide enough for the kids to get through. And Andy and the kids climb from the organ through the opening, but Mikey's foot steps on yet another wrong note. A wrong note. The organ begins to crumble. The floor holding the organ sways, and Mikey's still hanging on, and Bran reaches out and grabs his brother's hand. He pulls Mikey into the opening seconds before the entire organ and floor crumble into a million pieces. Interior water slide. The Goonies have escaped into a steep, long, circular water slide. The Goonies duck and dodge various jutting rocks and stalactites as they slide to the bottom, screaming the whole way down. Interior pirate ship cavern. They reach a rocky wall, a small passageway, less than 4 feet tall. It sits at the bottom of the wall, a miniature cave. A stream of water suddenly gushes out of the passageway. Bran, Mikey, and Data also shoot out. They land in the pool of water below it. A few seconds pass. Mouse, Steph, and Andy flow out, ejected from the passageway. The kids catching their breath, shaking the water from their ears, spitting the water out of their lungs. Mikey sees something. His eyes get wide. His mouth drops open, speechless. The others are soon met with the same sight. They're equally shocked, and delighted, and overwhelmed. For several moments, the kids stare in wonderment. Aubrey's turn.
We are in an enormous underground cavern, an enchanting magical place. The high ceilings and walls are lined with sparkling rocks. A large pool of water stretches across the ground. The most amazing sight in the entire cavern is an authentic, well-preserved pirate ship. The gigantic ship is tilted on its side, constructed of wood. Its crooked mast and tattered sails are in place. A black skull and crossbones flag waves at half-mast. The figurehead of a beautiful woman adorn the ship's bow. Ancient cannons ancient cannons jut from the side of the ship. Half of the ship is buried into the cavern wall, the result of a cave-in. Hundreds of years ago, the kids continue to stare at the amazing sight, speechless. Interior, hole with wooden spikes. Sloth climbs down the rope, moving toward the circular chamber. Chuck holds on to Sloth's back. As they climb downward, Chunk looks at Sloth.
You know, you're not such a strange looking guy. I used to have a snake with 2 heads.
Sloth gives a grunt. Chunk keeps talking.
And I got this other friend, Mitch, he got this big hairy thing growing out of his neck. People always make fun of him for it. So he only goes out to play at night. Bet you only like to go out at night, huh? Yeah, I know how you must feel. I like it when I go swimming at the public pool and I'm gonna take my shirt off and I get really embarrassed. All the other guys got dark tans and ripples in their stomachs, and I'm this Pillsbury doughboy. So I swim in I swim in a sweatshirt.
Interior circular chamber. Sloth gives an understanding groan. They arrive at the bottom and enter the circular chamber. Sloth and Chunk stare at the pirate skeleton with childlike astonishment. Sloth walks up to the skeleton, removes the pirate hat, and puts it on his head. He turns, wiggles his eyebrows at Chunk, his expression saying, "How do I look?" Chunk smiles, an honest expression on his face.
You are a stud.
Interior organ chamber. Mama, Jake, and Francis move slowly, carefully. They walk back to the wall across a thin catwalk along the edge of the chamber wall. The catwalk was caused by the fallen floor. One slip and they're dead. Interior pirate cavern. The kids stand before a large pool of water. Mikey begins to walk into the water. Brand grabs him. What if there's more leeches? Mikey pauses. Data has a solution. He reaches into his shirt and pulls a cord. A large yellow life raft pops out of his backpack. This kid thinks of everything. The raft begins to inflate. It just doesn't stop. It continues to get bigger and bigger until, boom, it explodes. The sound sends a shudder through the ancient cavern. A small rumbling is heard. Tiny pieces of earth crumble from the cavern ceiling. The kids exchange a frightened glance. With this, they jump into the shallow water and hurry towards the ship. As they wade through the water, Mikey stares in astonishment at the ship.
Willie had it all planned out. He was waiting for us. Don't you get it? He's been waiting for us 300 years. It's almost like he wants to invite us aboard.
The kids continue to hurry forward. Steph suddenly feels something strange brushing against her thigh underwater. She turns to Mouth, who's behind her. Steph glares at him, raising her hand as if to slap him.
Watch your hands. Touch me again and I'll she-bop you.
Mouth gives a puzzled shrug. Steph turns back around. Camera pans underwater. We see a giant, slitherly tentacle wiggling a few inches above few inches from Steph's thigh. The tentacle begins to rub Steph's thigh. Close, Steph. Her face glowing with anger, she raises her hand, ready to slap Mouth.
I warned you.
Steph turns and gives a hard slap to a giant squid. Its bloodshot eye and tentacle are face to face with Steph. It has shot out of the water between Steph and Mouth. Steph is speechless, in shock. The squid retaliates with a slap to Steph, knocking her into the water. The Goonies clutch each other, terrified. Another tentacle swoops down with the sound of a cracking whip. The tentacle slams into the water between the kids.
What is it?
Giant sushi.
The bloodshot eye of the squid moves just above the surface past the Goonies as another tentacled arm sucks across Andy's breast, pulling her toward the squid's gaping mouth. Data removes his cassette player from his backpack. He turns it on, cranking the volume. The talking heads burning down the house blasts from the twin speakers. Data throws the cassette players into the squid's mouth. The squid reels back, letting go of Andy. The booming chorus of Head's song reverberates through the squid's body. It trembles, quivers, in shock. The monster shoots away from the Goonies. It is crazed by the rock and roll. The squid wildly bounces off the cavernous walls, trying to make the music stop. The squid inadvertently does a comic dance, rocking to the beat of the music, and the kids watch it disappear far into the cavern. The Goonies run to the pirate ship, scared out of their wits. They arrive at the ship's bow. The gigantic ship towers over them. Mikey jumps up. He begins to climb the side of the ship, placing his foot in the thin cracks of wood. The other kids hurriedly follow. Mikey shouts down to them.
Be careful. The wood's really old. One splinter, and you're in for hepatitis, spinal meningitis, lockjaw.
Mikey continues babbling as he climbs over the ship's top. Interior pirate cavern. The kids climb aboard. They stand on the ship's crooked deck. The deck is long and wide, covered with old cranky boards. Various swords and knives hang on a weapon rack. Outside, on the outside wall, the main on the weapon rack outside the outside wall of the main cabin. The kids look for a way out. Brad and Mouth scan the wall of weapons, looking for a door. Mikey runs up to the raised deck. Steph and Andy find a trap door, but it is locked by several thick metal chains. Data walks up to the ship's extended curved ventilator. Data crawls into the wide ventilator opening. Moving along the raised deck, Mikey backs into something. He turns. A pirate stands there, his back to Mikey. The pirate is huddled over the ship's huge wooden steering wheel. He is dressed in a tattered, colorful pirate costume. Mikey catches his breath. He reaches out, touching the pirate. A creak. The pirate turns. Mikey is face to face with a grinning pirate skull. 2 daggers protruding from the deep eye sockets. Mikey screams. Everyone rushes to him, save for Data. The kids examine the skeleton. Seth pulls out one of the daggers from the eye socket, examining it. The dagger's handle is lined with small, sparkling jewels, diamonds. Andy grabs the other dagger, examining the jewels.
Think these are real?
If they are, I'll make a necklace out of them for you.
Andy gives Mikey a ruffle to his hair. He'd rather have another kiss. They are interrupted by Data's voice screaming for help. Everyone turns. Data's tiny legs protrude from the ventilator hold, kicking. Data is stuck. The kids come to his rescue. Brand and Mouth each grab one of Data's legs, pulling hard. Instead of pulling Data out of the ventilator, Brand and Mouth pull the ventilator out of the deck. Data falls on his bottom, still inside the ventilator. A large hole has replaced the ventilator in the ship's deck. Andy peers into the dark hole. Her head pops back out, nose crinkled, coughing. It's dusty. Andy looks at the others.
Can't see anything.
Andy motions for the others to follow. She lowers herself into the hole. Data manage to squirm out of the ventilator. He follows the others into the bowels of the ship. Before entering, Mikey takes a shot from his breathalyzer. Interior, pirate ship beneath the top deck. The kids enter the large cabin below deck. The thick layer of grayish-brown dust covers the floor. The kids huddle close together. The kids' feet move through the thick dust. Mikey stops, noticing something in the middle of the ceiling. A small yellow glow. Shining through the dust. Mikey points it out to the others.
Cool. Yellow stuff.
The kids clear the dust with their hands. The glowing gets brighter, brighter. The dust is cleared. An area of the boards is visible. Bright golden light glimmers through the cracks. The kids exchange hopeful glances. Math gives a sarcastic smirk.
Great! We found 3 Mile Island!
Mikey spots another riddle carved into the beams. Mouth translates in the voice of a British pirate.
Your intruder, beware. Crushing death and grief. Soaked with blood of the trespassing thieves.
That's the first riddle from the attic.
Mikey excitedly stands on a branch. He grabs hold of a loose board. He pulls hard. The ship creaks and shudders, but the kids are too curious to care. Mikey continues to pull. Finally, the board snaps. The glaring shaft of light shining through the rectangular hole. Mikey smiles at the others. They are anxious, excited. Everybody grabs hold of a board. As each board is removed, more light fills the cavern. The ship continues to creak and groan. The kids work fast, urgent, pulling away more boards. The ceiling above the kids begins to weaken. A small section of ceiling gives, tumbling down onto the kids, revealing the golden light. Interior treasure cabin. The kids have climbed to a large room filled with treasure, a magical room, glistening with all the colors of the rainbow. The room is literally a garden of jewels. There are trees with branches of silver and gold coins, and leaves of emerald, rose bushes made of sparkling rubies. There are flowers of sapphires, bushes made of pearls. There's even a half moon suspended in air made of diamonds. Scattered throughout the jewels garden are hundreds of other items, drinking goblets, necklaces, rings, crowns, more treasure than the kids or the audience has ever seen in one room. Pirate skeletons surround the treasure, arms crossed, armed with swords, guardians of the treasure. And sitting in the middle of these, at a long wooden table, covered with a feast of treasure, is One-Eyed Willie. A look of total respect and admiration cover Mikey's face. He nods to One-Eyed Willie.
Hello, I'm Mikey Walsh. These are my friends. You've been expecting us, and, well, here we are. We made it, Willie. All in one piece, too. So far.
Mikey notices an ancient version of what could be taken for a breathalyzer sitting in front of One-Eyed Willie. Mikey smiles. Curious, Mikey reaches and lifts One-Eyed Willie's eye patch. There is no socket. It is a solid skull. Mikey reverently replaces the eye patch.
One-Eyed Willie, you were the first Goonie.
The others are ecstatic, joyous, laughing and giggling wildly They make a mad scramble for the treasure. They begin to load themselves up with the pieces, stuffing their pockets, shirts, pants, and socks. Andy and Steph try on the rings and necklaces. Data wears a huge golden crown. It covers most of his head. Mouth begins to gather his favorite pieces. He reaches over to the small pile of jewels in front of One-Eyed Willie. Mikey stops Mouth.
That's his. Don't mess with it.
Mouth shrugs and grabs more jewels from the floor. Mikey finds a large ruby.
My dad's gonna die when he sees what we bring him. He'll get 10 hours sleep tonight.
Don't take anything you can't carry. We'll come back for the bigger stuff later. Mike removes his marble bag. He empties all the marbles and fills the bag with small, choice jewels.
Hurry up. Those creepos are still coming after us.
What are we going to do?
I know. The Hardy Boys did this once.
The kids listen, continuing to stuff themselves up with treasure. Their clothes bulge tight, like they're wearing fat suits. Mikey continues.
We can leave a trail of the stuff leading to one of those skeleton caves. While they follow the trail, we'll be hiding out in another cave. We'll take them out. Then we can make a run for it.
That's a good plan. Real good plan.
Kids turn. Mama, Jake, and Francis stand in the cavern. Jake and Francis are armed with swords and knives from the weapon rack. Mama points her gun at the kids, laughing. The kids look at each other, frightened. Suddenly, Data fumes with anger. He cries out.
That's it. This is war. We will not be taken alive. Intimidator.
Data's arms and legs and crotch begin to expand, giving him enormous muscles. Lifts in his shoes cause Data's height to expand. Data begins to look intimidating, but his muscles continue to grow, getting bigger, until suddenly, boom, they explode. But Data's is undaunted. He screams.
Optional bully buster.
Data opens his coat and pulls another cord. Several rows of flash cubes are attached to Data's coat. They begin to flash. At first they are effective, but soon fizzle out because Data's contact with the water. Data's eyes are raging. He begins to pull every cord on his body. One by one, each of his homemade devices is tripped. But alas, as always, they don't work. Green smoke, meant to be used as a smokescreen, slowly billows out of Data's clothing. G.I. Joe toys pop out of his shirt and pockets, firing plastic projectiles that only travel a few inches before hitting the floor. Countless ball bearings shook out of his pant, leg, and cuff. They are bottle rockets, sparklers, firecrackers. Everything shoots out of Data's body, but nothing works. Data's body is a literal explosion of junk. The Fratellis watch, both amazed and amused by what is going on. Well, this kid's better than the 4th of July in Ashbury Park. Finally, Data hits the out button of his belt buckle. The belt buckle flips open. The suction cup projectile shoots forward. It attaches itself to Mama's gun. Data hits the in switch on his belt, trying to reel in the gun, but Mama holds tight. The powerful suction cup pulls Data towards Mama. Data stares in shock as he and Mama collide. This causes an electrical shock which sends the two of them flying across the room. Excuse me. Mama also drops her gun. Data gets to his feet. He and the frightened Goonies run out of the room. Jake and Francis revive Mama and follow in hot pursuit. Interior, top deck. The kids run across the top deck, but the Fatales are right behind them. Bigger, faster. They manage to tackle the kids. They surround the Goonies, swords pointing at the kid's throat. Mama glares at the kids.
Up. Up on your feet.
The kids stand.
Now, go on. Empty out all those goodies from downstairs. Move it!
The kids lift their shirts and begin to empty the jewels onto the deck. Rubies, diamonds, emeralds roll out onto the deck. Mama stares at the treasure, her eyes filled with greed. Then Mama goes over to Mouth. She looks at him as if something's not quite right with him.
You got awful quiet all of a sudden.
Mouth just smiles, keeping his mouth closed.
Come on, chum. Open your yap.
Mouth reluctantly opens his mouth and a truckload of gems spill out. Not satisfied, Mama sees something on Mouth's tongue, reaches in and pulls out 3 feet of beaded pearls. My gosh.
And Jacob.
Pirate ship. Top deck. The Goonies are tied up. They stand in line at the edge of the deck. Mama walks to a wooden plank built onto the ship's edge. She turns and looks at the kids.
You want to play pirate? We'll play pirate.
Mama pushes out the plank. A long, thick board. It extends far over the edge of the ship. It overlooks the deepest section of water. Mama walks back to the kids. She paces in front of the kids. She looks them over, deciding who's first. Mama looks at Andy. Andy gives her a hard kick to Mama's shin. Mama doubles over. Andy snaps.
You gross old witch!
Mama looks up, eyes glowing with rage. She moves the tip of her sword to Andy's throat. Mama growls.
Move it, sweetie.
Andy steps out. Mama pokes her with the sword. Andy walks to the plank. The kids watch, horrified. Andy steps onto the plank. Mama stays behind, jabbing Andy with the sword. Andy begins to walk the plank. The other kids watch, helpless. Mikey's eyes fill with tears. Andy continues to walk. Only a few feet from the end of the board. She looks down. The deep water sparkles below. Andy gives a frightening gulp. Mama is a few feet behind her, resembling an old pirate or witch. Mama gives a mad cackle.
Hold your breath, sweetie.
Mama jabs Andy. Andy falls off the plank. She hits the water. A loud splash. Brand cries out.
No!
Brand dashes forward, out of line. Brand! Before the Fratelli brothers can stop, Brand leaps over the side of the ship. We hear a splash. Brand sinks under the deep water. Mikey hides his eyes. Scared, trembling, Mama turns to the kids. She gives a vicious smile.
2 down. Who's next?
Underwater, Andy sinks to the bottom of the deep pool, hands tied behind her back. Andy holds her breath, cheeks puffed with air. Brand floats downward a few feet above Andy. He struggles with the rope binding her hands. With a few twists of his wrists, Brand's hands come free. He swims toward Andy. He grabs Andy. Her eyes are wavering, nearly unconscious. Brand puts his arm around Andy, holding tight. He swims upward, using all his strength. Brand swims toward the surface and pulls Andy onto a rock next to the ship. Exterior rock next to the pirate ship. Brand leans over the unconscious Andy, giving her mouth to mouth. Andy suddenly wakes. She sits up, coughing. Brand holds her, comforting her. She composes herself, giving a puzzled look to Brand.
Where am... Oh, you jumped in to save me.
Brand gives a modest nod. Andy throws her arms around Brand, planting a long, hard kiss on his lips. A few moments pass. Andy breaks the kiss. She withdraws her lips. A puzzled expression covers her face. She reaches into Brand's mouth and seems to be feeling for something, puzzled. She withdraws her fingers, looking at Brand.
What happened to your braces?
Brand says,
I don't wear braces. Mikey wears.
She suddenly understands. They both stop and look at each other.
Oh, God.
Top deck. Mouth and Steph have been tied together back to back. They are walking the plank a few inches from the end. Mama stands behind them, jabbing them with the sword, edging them forward. Steph looks back to Mouth, an honest, serious expression in her eyes.
How long can you hold your breath?
An hour?
Oh, be serious now.
Actually, about 10 seconds. You were about always champion of that underwater stuff.
Clark, when you run out of air, just turn your face to me and I'll share whatever I've got left.
Mouth looks at Steph. He is so touched by this, he cannot speak for the first time in his life. Mama jabs Mouth and Steph. They go off the edge. Suddenly, a loud pirate scream pierces the air. Everyone turns to the direction of the scream. Sloth swings down from the ship's mast. He is dressed in bright pirate clothing. A sword is strapped to his waist. Sloth emits another loud scream. Before Mouth and Steph hit the water, Sloth scoops them up, saving their lives. Carrying Mouth and Steph under his arm, Sloth swings back onto the deck. He safely places Mouth and Steph beside each other, the other kids. Sloth turns to Mama and the boys. Sloth growls. He flexes his muscles. His shirt begins to rip. Terror muscles bulging. For the first time, we see that Sloth has an incredible muscular body. He has transformed from a grotesque creature into a virtual superhero. Steph stares at Sloth, awestruck.
Hunk City.
With everyone's attention focused on Sloth, Chunk sneakily climbs over the ship's side. His torn and tattered clothes have now taken on the appearance of a pirate costume. Chunk sneaks up behind the kids. They are shocked to see him. And Brand says,
Chunk?
Captain Chunk.
Chunk begins to untie the kids' hands. Meanwhile, Mama points to Sloth. She snaps at Francis and Jake.
Get him.
The two come at Sloth. Their swords are extended, ready for a fight. Francis swings his sword at Sloth. Sloth ducks. He picks up Francis, lifting him above his head. Sloth throws his brother through the air. Francis flies inside of the ship's figurehead. Francis' head breaks through the woman's figurehead. This creates a bizarre image, the shapely body of the figurehead adorned with the head of the unconscious Francis. Chunk still unties the kids. Mikey works with him, speeding up the process. Sloth continues his sword fight with Jake. Sloth fights like an expert pirate he's seen on TV.
Pinchos of Pebble.
Data fires his clapping teeth. The teeth clamp down on Jake's crotch, doubling him over. Sloth grabs the sword from Jake's hand and breaks it into two. Sloth throws a hard punch to Jake's jaw. The powerful punch sends Jake flying across the deck floor. He skids into a pyramid of cannonballs. Conk! He's out cold. Chunk has untied all the kids. They run to the side of the ship. Beneath them, Andy and Brand wade in the water. Brand shouts out to his friends.
Come on! Jump!
The kids jump over the side into the water. Meanwhile, Mama finds herself face to face with Sloth. Sloth growls at her. Mama holds her sword, trying to reason with Sloth.
Okay, maybe I treated you bad, keeping you locked in that room. It was for your own good.
Sloth gives a louder growl. He walks toward Mama, ready to attack. Mama pleads, frightened.
I ain't always been bad to you. Don't you remember? When you were a little one, I'd sing you to sleep.
Sloth grabs the sword from Mama. He throws it overboard. He picks up Mama in his arms. Ready to throw her overboard, she begins to sing.
Rock-a-bye baby in the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock.
He pauses, listening. The song is warm, comforting. It brings a pleasant smile to his face. He begins to gently rock Mama in his arms. She continues to sing.
When the bow breaks, the cradle will fall.
Sloth smiles. He drops Mama overboard. She falls. Sloth sings the final verse.
And down will come baby, cradle and all.
Mama hits the water. Meanwhile, the kids are all in the water. They have begun to escape swimming to the shore. Sloth jumps into the water. He swings toward the kids. When Sloth makes it to the kids, Chunk introduces him.
Guys, this is Sloth. He's just like us. A reject.
Across the pirate ship, Mama climbs back onto the deck, soaking wet. She sees the kids swimming away. Her eyes are angry, frustrated. But there is something more important on her mind. She runs to Jake. He still lies beside the cannonball, dazed. Mama slaps him. He stirs.
Wake up! Get Francis! Let's go get the rest of the goods.
Interior treasure cabin. Mama, Jake, and Francis enter. They greedily begin to stuff their pockets with the treasure. Mama walks to where One-Eyed Willie is seated. She reaches for the pile of treasure in front of One-Eyed Willie. Mama grabs the pile, but it is attached to a long metal chain. Mama pulls hard on the chain, and it begins another one of One-Eyed Willie's chain reaction booby traps. One-Eyed Willie's skeleton shoots upward and towards the ceiling. A trap door in the ceiling opens. Mama and the boys watch in shock. Top deck, One-Eyed Willie's skeleton flies through the top trap door on the captain's deck. He lands directly in front of the ship's steering wheel. The Rube Goldberg fashion, the trap's door hits a cannonball, which rolls along a path to the ship's deck, which is connected to a long section of wood that stretches to the cavern's ceiling. The wood is connected to the ceiling support system. The cannonball hits the section of wood, causing the wood to snap, causing the entire support system to become undone. The cavern begins to shudder, rumble. The pirate ship tilts, shakes. The sails buckle. The ship's anchors raise. The Goonies and Sloth have waded to the shore. They quickly haul out of the boat, dashing toward the cavern entrance. The entire cavern begins to shake like an earthquake. The ground begins to break, opening. The walls begin to crack and crumble. Pieces of the rock begin to fall, crashing to the ground. Mama and the boys have to run onto the top of the tilting ship deck, running for their lives, but they tremble and roll across the deck. They fall off the trembling ship into the water. The Goonies arrive at the cavern's entrance. Boulders of earth fall in front of the entrance, causing it to collapse. Sloth moves forwards. Not unlike Samson, Sloth holds out his mighty arms and he grabs each side of the cavern's walls, holding them in place. He supports the crumbling ceiling with his strong back. He keeps the passageway open. Sloth motions for the kids to hurry inside. The kids crawl through his legs, out of the cavern. Rocks and boulders fall all around Sloth, but he doesn't budge, doesn't flinch. All the kids have crawled to safety. Chunk is the last one to join them. Sloth turns, ready to join the kids, but something catches his eyes. He sees Mama, his brothers, in the water, struggling for their lives. Chunk holds out his hand to Sloth.
Sloth,
And Chunk says,
Sloth, come on, take my hand.
Sloth shakes his head. He turns and gives an innocent hiss to Chunk's cheek. Sloth releases his grip on the walls and ceiling. He steps back out of the cavern. Chunk cries out.
Sloth, no.
An avalanche of falling earth seals the cavern entrance, forming a permanent wall between Chunk and Sloth. Interior pirate ship cavern. The entire cavern is being devastated. The sails fill with wind. The pirate ship begins to move, with One-Eyed Willie at the wheel. Sloth swims to Mama and the boys. He wraps his enormous arms around them, saving their lives. They look up, seeing the pirate ship shaking in front of them. the escape tunnel. The Goonies are trapped in the dark, rumbling, shaken passageway. Both sides of the passageway have begun to cave in, closing in on the trapped Goonies. Brand screams.
Data! We need one of your lights!
Data fumbles in his backpack for a light. He reaches back for the last road flare, but unbeknownst to Data, he hasn't grabbed a road flare. It's the stick of dynamite. Data lights the stick. It sparks, illuminating the passageway. The Goonies look around. They see the crumbling dirt coming at them from both sides. There's no way out. Suddenly, Data notices something strange about the flare.
Hey, this isn't a road flare. It's dynamite.
The kids turn and run. Data runs in circles trying to find a place for the sparkling dynamite. He sees a crack in the wall, emitting a small amount of light. Data inserts the dynamite into the crack. Data runs to his friends. They cluster together, ears plugged, eyes closed. Boom! The dynamite rocks the already quivering passageway. A few moments pass. The kids open their eyes through the smoke. The dynamite has blown a large hole into the wall, an opening leading to the outside world. The excited Goonies run toward the hole. They exit seconds before the passageway collapses. Exterior escape tunnel dawn. The Goonies stand in a small, rocky alcove. The stretch of ocean is in front of them. The heavy rumbling becomes a muffled echo in the background. One-Eyed Willie's caverns and passageways are being sealed forever. The Goonies pause to breathe in the fresh air. Their bodies are scratched and bruised, covered with mud and dirt. The clothes are tattered, hanging like rags. They have gone through a visual transformation. The Goon Kids to courageous adventurers. Exterior beach day. A national park ranger slams on his dune buggy brakes, squints curiously in the distance, now raises his binoculars to get a better look. His jaw drops as he reaches for his radio.
Harvey, get the sheriff on the horn. I think I just found that bunch of goobers he's been looking for.
Exterior Ranger Station and Beach Day. The Ranger Station parking lot is packed. Sheriff's cars, ambulances, local press, parents, and onlookers. The Goonies emerge from the Ranger Station as the crowd cheers and the parents rush forward to meet their kids. Closer angle, Irene rushes up to Mikey and Brand. Mr. Walsh and Rosalita can be seen further back in the crowd. Mikey looks up at Irene with embarrassed eyes.
Hi, Mom. Guess we're dead meat, huh?
Irene can't hide her smile or the happy tears in her eyes, and she wraps her arms around Mikey and Brand, embracing them tightly. On another angle, Chunk runs to an obese man and woman, his parents. The man is dressed exactly like Chunk. Hawaiian shirt, plaid Bermuda shorts, black knee socks. The woman wears a flowered dress holding a cardboard box covered with tinfoil. Chunk embraces both of his parents. Lawrence, we were so worried. Here, darling, I wrapped supper for you. It's your favorite. Mom gives the foil wrap carton to Chunk. He grabs it excitedly, rips the foil away. Hot dogs, loaded with everything. The camera pans to Mouth and Steph. Mouth looks at Steph, a serious, honest look on his face, and he speaks in his own voice.
Just wanted to say, well, thank you, for saving me at all. I really appreciate it.
And Steph says, muted.
Wow, a real moment, you know? Your voice is nice when you're not using your mouth.
Your face is pretty when you blur your eyes.
The camera pans to Andy and Mikey, watching, smiling. Andy turns to Mikey, a warm smile on her face. Mikey, you just keep kissing girls the way you do, and the parts of you that don't work so good are gonna catch up with the parts that do. Brand walks up. He puts his arm around Andy. They walk away together, camera following. Brand gives Andy an impressed look.
Lifetime Goonie?
You bet your sweet ass.
Hmm.
She grabs Brand and kisses him. Mikey stands a few feet away, watching, alone, jealous. He begins to cough. He removes his Primatine mist, ready to take a shot. Pauses, looks at the breathalyzer, and tosses it to the ground. Who needs it? To the crowd, Mr. Walsh has noticed, smiles proudly. Suddenly, everyone is interrupted. A group of policemen rush into the shore. Angle on Sloth. Sloth walks out of the ocean, dragging the waterlogged Mama, Jake, and Francis. The police quickly take Mama and the boys into custody. Chunk's eyes light up seeing Sloth. He runs out to him holding out his carton of hot dogs.
Sloth! Sloth!
Sloth gives a happy grunt, glad to see his friend. He picks up Chunk, who offers him the carton.
Look! Hot dogs!
Hot dogs! Armor hot dogs!
Sloth devours a giant hot dog in a single gulp as Chunk's parents watch in horrified awe.
He's my best friend. And Dad, if they take him away, our house, and we have to move to New York, I thought maybe we can adopt him. He'll get him a job with the New York Jets. He's with the Rangers as head goalie.
Sloth destroys another hot dog, belches volcanically as Chunk's parents exchange a paralyzed look. Another angle. Mom and the boys are handcuffed, then put into the back of a police van. The camera pans as Mr. Perkins and Troy suddenly pull up in a white Cadillac convertible, screech to a stop. They get out quickly, approaching Mr. Walsh, who stands at the edge of the crowd with Mikey. Mr. Perkins advances aggressively, waving a piece of paper.
Today's the day, Mr. Walsh. So let's get this over with. Your house is blocking the start of a new first fairway. So I've decided to begin the demolition with you.
If you could just hold off for a bit, Mr. Perkins. Maybe I could find.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on, old man. My dad doesn't have all day. There's 50 more houses to destroy after yours. Sheriff, you come over here and witness this.
Mr. Walsh nervously takes out his Primatine mist, then looks down at Mikey, who stares back up, tears in his eyes.
I'm sorry, Dad. We had it in our hands, on the future, but we blew it. We threw it all away to save our lives.
Mr. Walsh fights to hold back a tear.
You and Brand are back, safe with your mother and me. That makes us the richest people in Cauldron Point.
Walsh?
They turn. Mr. Perkins grins cruelly.
You're looking at the richest people in Cauldron Point. Now sign it.
Troy props the paper up against his father's back for a signature, whips out a pen with a sickening smile.
Here, use my pen. I've even let you keep it as a souvenir.
Mr. Walsh tries to steady himself, trembling, looks off. Angle on the Goonie crowd. The crowd is hushed as the rest of the Goonies and their parents turn to watch helplessly. Back to scene. Mr. Walsh slowly takes a pen from Troy, lifts an unsteady arm, stares the paper, eyes misting over. He starts to sign as the sheriff takes a sympathetic step toward him, stopping him. And what does the sheriff say?
Oh. Now listen up, Mr. Perkins. Maybe this isn't the proper time or place to go
I'm
into
not.
these.
I'm not interested in your ethical opinions, Sheriff. Just your signature as a witness. If you'd be doing this, be doing your duty, if you'd been on the balls, you have found my son's car by now. Isn't that right?
Oh, hell. I already found your son's damn car.
Yeah? You did? Where is it?
Just about to run you over, Troy.
Mr. Walsh grits his teeth, oblivious to anything. He begins to sign as Perkins turns, and the signature is written across the back of his jacket. Angle on the gorillas in the red Mustang, their POV. The red Mustang careens into the parking lot at high speed, the gorillas behind the wheel. It heads straight for the crowd, spinning out at the last second, squealing sideways, crashing into the side of Mr. Perkins' white Cadillac.
Daddy! Your new car!
The gorillas scream back at Troy with equal excitement, covering their eyes. Bonzo whips the car into reverse and roars through the crowd as bystanders dive for safety. Angle on the crowd. One side of the white Cadillac is caved in, and the stunned crowd suddenly bursts into cheering, laughter, and applause.
Don't you people laugh at me? No one ever laughs at me.
The laughter grows louder. Even Mr. Walsh and Mikey start to join in. Angle on the edge of the crowd. Sloth watches from the rear edge of the crowd. To one side of him is Chunk. On the other side, Rosalita. They all laugh heartily with everyone else as suddenly Sloth's expression begins to change. His eyes roll. He begins to cough, feeling curious rumblings in his stomach. The crowd's laughter continues as he pounds himself in the chest, trying to clear his massive airways as a gleaming object ejects itself from his mouth. Angle on Rosalita. The object hits the ground at Rosalita's feet. She looks down at it curiously, then picks it up, eyes widening with surprise. It's a huge, sparkling diamond. Back to Sloth. Sloth is doubled over now, inner explosions racking his huge body. The concerned Chunk rushes over to him.
Sloth! Somebody get a giant Brumo! Quick!
Sloth straightens up, looks at his friend, then grins, his mouth falling open. It is filled with jewels from the pirate ship. Back to Rosalita, seeing, realizing, holding the diamond up high, she starts to make her way through the boisterous crowd. Back to Perkins. The furious Perkins slams the paper down on what's left of the hood of his car, turns on Mr. Walsh. The crowd's laughter is beginning to subside.
Have your fun, Walsh. Well, that's okay. I got the rest of my life to laugh at you.
Troy holds out the pen. The crowd quiets as Mr. Walsh exchanges a sad look with Mikey, then takes it and reluctantly leans over the hood of the car. Angle on Data. Data stands with his parents, his eyes glassed over, and he looks off at Mouth, who stands with Steph nearby.
I sure am gonna miss being a Goonie.
A heavy sigh as Mr. Walsh starts to put the pen to paper as Rosalita's voice comes in the middle of the crowd. Wait! Don't sign! Mr. Walsh looks up, momentarily pausing, then leans over, nods again, ignoring Rosalita's voice. The crowd mumbles furiously. Don't sign! Don't sign! Back to Mouth and Steph.
You speak Spanish. What's she saying?
Don't sit down. No, don't shoot. Don't throw up. Don't sign.
Back to Walsh. Mr. Walsh has begun to write his signature as Mouth and Steph rush up. Mikey rushes up. Rosalita rushes up. Don't sign! Mikey grabs a piece of paper, pulling Mr. Walsh's pen across it in a straight line. Perkins and Troy stare unbelievably as Rosalita holds up the diamond to a dumbfounded Mr. Walsh and
Hey, Goonies! Look!
Angle on Chunk. As everyone turns, Chunk raises his cupped hands and now opens them. We close on Chunk's hands, filled with gemstones, sparkling diamonds, glorious rubies, bright emeralds. Back to the scene, Sloth belches and 3 more jewels are ejected from his mouth. The crowd cheers as the Goonies rush to Sloth, swarming over him like mountain climbers, jewels erupting from his mouth as they pummel him like a huge vending machine. Several reporters rush up, snapping pictures, peppering the Goonies with questions.
Tell him more stories, Lawrence.
Wait, this time I'm telling the true sheriff. Honest.
Mm-hmm.
The sheriff smiles patronizingly, turns, and starts to walk away. He sees something in the distance, stops, thunderstruck.
Holy Mother of God. Look!
Everyone turns to look with audible gasps as we see an angle on the pirate ship from their point of view. The pirate ship sailing across the ocean, a magical sight. The camera pans the faces of everyone on shore. Policemen, sheriff, Sloth, Irene, Mr. Walsh, the Goonies, staring in awe. Angle on Mikey, the back of Mikey's head. He turns slowly to face the audience, wearing the black patch of One-Eyed Willie, and Mikey winks at them all with a warm smile. Back to the pirate ship. Further away in the distance now, a graceful, romantic dot against the beautiful horizon as we fade out. The end.
Yay!
Yay, that was fun.
That was fun.
It's always
Goonies.
fun.
Goonies never say die.
Oh, I loved it. I like playing Chunk.
You really like Chunk. It's so cute. You can tell he was your favorite.
He definitely was. He was probably my favorite this time. I really liked Mouth in the first one because I think that still is my favorite scene that Mouth gets to have,
Mhm.
where he's with Rosalita and he's translating. Still my favorite. I can't go over that one, but yeah, no.
You can have a favorite scene and still have a different favorite character. It's still good. I mean, they're all great. They're all great characters.
They're all great. Yeah, no.
And the relationship Chunk has with Sloth is just so
Oh.
sweet.
It's so
cute.
sweet. Yeah.
Oh,
And I really like Mikey and Brand's friendship, or even though they're siblings,
Yeah.
they still really, you could tell they really love and care about each other too, and
Yeah.
they've got each other's backs. But they're also brothers, which is adorable.
Yeah, no.
And I really liked the Brand having that claustrophobic moment, even though I felt kind of.
Oh my gosh, yes, this tough guy goes all terrified.
Yeah, that wasn't in the movie.
It
Was
wasn't?
it? I don't remember that.
I don't remember it either.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you know this is actually the script, because they probably changed it, just like Chunk, belching all the jewels out. I think they changed it a bit too, and I don't think they had the squid there too. But we know there was a squid; it just got edited out.
And the gorillas.
And the
There were
gorillas
no-
weren't there either. Hmm.
The gorillas are so funny. I love them. Taking the toupee.
I think that it was either they thought it was too much slapstick, or either that, or they just didn't have the budget for it. It's one of the two,
Well,
I'm sure.
No, they filmed it. There's
Oh, they did
videos
film
of-
it.
There's videos
Oh.
of both the.
I wonder why they didn't keep it in. Maybe because it just took too much from the story. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, last week I thought it was the budget as well, but this time I have some of the images here if we wanted to see them. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's see if I can get you to
Oh.
share. Let's see if I can. I might have it set. No.
And then I gotta go.
You can want to try sharing screen now? You want to
Still
share?
disabled.
What's that?
Host has disabled.
Oh, is it disabled?
Screen sharing.
Let's try. Oh, here. Let's try that.
Or I can put a link in the. Oh, there it is. Yep. There we go. All right. So these are pictures of it.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Red Mustang, the gorillas. Yeah.
Oh, So cute.
They did film it.
Yeah. I wonder why they didn't keep it in there.
Like, this is not the best video, but you can see probably Brandon's dad.
Did they use real gorillas or are they like costumes?
They're costumes, stunt
Yeah,
people.
they're obviously costumed.
Yeah.
I mean, they look great though.
They do look really good.
No, I love it. They're so cute.
Oh, wow. That's pretty
And
cool.
And here's the giant squid, some of it.
Yeah, the giant squid's great.
Poor
I
Mouth.
am-
Like, ugh.
No, that's that's Mouth. You're right.
Oh, he actually gets slapped there.
Yeah, and there's the giant squid.
Her mouth is big.
That must have been changed then, because in the script it said that she went to go slap me, and then the squid's tentacle was right there.
And she slapped the squid, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he's biting the
Oh, he's
squid.
trying to bite it. Yeah.
Ah! Oh, Data.
There's Data. Aw. I wonder why this didn't make it into the movie.
Might just be too long.
It might have been. They might have closed. Yeah, they might have.
Oh,
Oh, there's a cassette tape.
There it is.
Could you imagine trying to take off all the clothes after to change or anything with Data? The amount of just
God.
gizmos and
I
gadgets
know.
and other
I
things
would-
that he ripped out.
I
Like-
couldn't help but laugh at that whole scene when he's pulling all these cords. It's just so funny.
Like,
It's so cute.
jeez. Ugh.
Wow, he's 60 now. It's crazy.
This is
47.
video
Wow. Aw. Francis. Chonk. He died at the age of 38. Wow.
oh,
Yeah.
Poor sloth.
yeah.
Age 17. Yep,
Yep.
there's Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin.
Wow. She looks amazing still, though.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Martha's very busy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Mikey.
Poor
aw.
Sean Astin.
Why poor Sean Astin?
I said, and of course, Sean Astin.
Oh, of course. Okay.
Yes.
That makes more sense.
Mhm.
All right, guys. I actually do have to leave. I must depart y'all. But I had so much fun. It was so much fun playing that.
Great job.
Yes.
Great job, everyone.
I was happy
Thank
at
you.
work today for you, and everything was nice and happy for
Yeah.
you. That was good to see.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm glad.
thank
I
you,
hope you guys-
everyone. It was
Yes,
great.
thank you.
I always play the screamy characters. What's up with this?
You're getting typecast.
No.
I just realized this is the first time I didn't have to really play the villain role in this so far.
No, you still played Mr. Perkins.
Well, now, originally I was not playing him. So originally I was not going to play villain. So I mean, there we go. I got out of my typecast.
There you go.
Well, if you
Fine.
guys like I don't know most of these scripts anyways. I mean, the Goonies I did, but if there's a character you want to play, let me know and we can
Right.
work that in. So, I'm just
I've enjoyed all the characters you've had me play.
Oh, I've
I
enjoyed them
really
too.
I've really loved playing. Like I really loved playing Rick. That was great.
that was awesome.
You did so good as Rick.
Oh, thank you. And I really liked playing Jack Ryan was great too. That was so much fun. So
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed the characters you've had me play so far. So they're fun.
I think Mouth has probably been one of my favorites I've played. Mouth, I really like the mafioso from Casablanca.
Mhm.
Yes.
That one was a lot of fun. Oh, and I really, really like the boss in Jack Ryan. That one
Yeah.
was a lot of fun.
Career. That was fun.
Yeah, being Greer was a lot of fun.
You gets to be mad at Jack Ryan. You can put Jack in his place.
Oh,
Jack's
I
just like
love it.
whatever. It was good. All right, guys. I gotta go.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Next time I'll be.
Hopefully we'll see
Let
you
me know
next
when.
It's
Yeah.
Murders in the Building, or only Murders in the Building is next week. The
Oh,
television pilot.
Yeah,
awesome.
so
Sounds like fun.
yeah, it won't be as long.
All right. Bye.
Yep.
Good
Good
Bye.
night.
Night.
All right.
I like seeing all the 80s references in the script too. There's one that caught my eye in particular, but I can't remember what it was. I know there was certainly the one with the cassette tape, just
Oh
having a
yeah.
cassette tape, right?
Yeah.
I got
And
most,
the commercials, the pizza commercials and the hot dog commercials, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can still hear some of those in my head.
Oh,
I
it
got
was a
most of
really
them.
fun one.
There's one I didn't get, but I can't even remember it well enough to know something like Gobo or something. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Yeah.
So the second half of the movie, definitely the more
So,
exciting half.
but I think the first half there's still a lot of fun scenes.
Yeah.
I feel like the first half was very entertaining too. I think both are really good in their own ways. There's like nothing I would change.
They have really good character interaction, and not all the
They
characters have
do.
as many lines as each other, but when they do talk, there's they're very distinct characters from each other.
And I think you learn a lot about the characters in this movie. Like usually movies take a couple of things to put that big plot thing for the background characters, but like I feel like we learned a lot, not even just from the main cast, from everyone else.
And there is a lot. I mean, you've got like
Yeah.
what, 4, 5, 6. There are 7 people on the kids side, right?
Yeah.
And then the 3 bad guys, and then a couple minor characters. Yeah, you just it only takes a few lines to kind of really get a feel for the character. But I think a lot of it must come in on the costuming and on just the way they move, the stuff that it's hard to put into a script necessarily.
How many
They were
people?
very descriptive with their actions and descriptions. You really got the scene.
Well,
Most of the time.
as cute as the gorillas were, and as interesting as the octopus was, I actually like how they edited. I don't think the gorillas were necessary. I think the movie was just perfect, what got presented to the public.
Agreed, 100%.
I wanted to know what the props guy were when they get the script and it says, Rude Goldberg style, and you have to invent those machines with the balls go this way and knock this over and knock that over, and like when Data enters the building in the first half, or like the cannonball in the ship. They don't describe exactly what that machine does, in the script. You have to let the crew figure that part out. I wonder how many trials and tribulations they went through to find something that was filmable and that worked.
Yeah.
Or if they hired a specialist in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they did it more than once too, and there's 2 or 3 references to the Rube Goldberg style.
Yeah.
I did find
There's a
that was
couple.
kind of strange. The very, very first house, which is like Mikey's family's house, it's not even Data's, had that whole thing just to get into the gate. Which
Yes.
is
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah.
Data's very intelligent for his age.
I
Like
I really enjoyed being Data.
being able to like fix the cash register in the first bit and
Mhm.
just knowing as much as he did, I was like, huh. And also everyone has their own little smart thing they have, like mouth with his fluent Spanish. Knowing a full second language when you're like 13.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder, where did he get that from?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not common for them to be picking that up in school at that age. Usually, you don't
No.
learn Spanish till high school, unless you're going to some rich private school or something, which these guys obviously aren't doing.
No.
Not really rich enough to have Spanish speaking servants, or it makes me wonder if his parents didn't sound like they would have spoken Spanish.
No.
So it just
It was, yeah, interesting.
plot armor.
Yeah.
Don't ask too many questions. Just kidding.
Well, and
His
kids have their
neighbors
own
or his
role.
grandma or something could be Spanish speaking. Who knows? But yeah.
Who knows? I
I mean,
liked
it's
how everyone
possible
had their
that
own
he did on his
role.
own, but again, that doesn't seem to fit in with his character. So
No.
As you pointed out, it does seem like they all have like unique qualities or characteristics or abilities. The one that seemed the least was like Steph. Until the end, they mentioned how she's really good at holding her breath.
Yeah, she was really good at swimming and stuff.
she's also a lot braver than Andy, though. I mean, Andy is supposed to be, the pretty girlfriend, and Steph
Yeah.
not quite so pretty, but Steph is a lot braver than Andy, and that comes across really well.
She seems a lot more mature too than
Mhm.
a lot of the people there. And just, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really like that scene with the kissing tunnel, right?
Yeah, that's
Put
what
your
I
eyes
was
next
thinking
time.
of.
Whole different experience.
Like, yeah. That's the one that I was like, huh. She just felt like she was like very just a lot more
So good
knowing
in the
than a
movie
lot.
too.
But
I feel like they also added a line in the movie too about like, hey, be careful. Brand must have been standing in like a divot or something because he's shorter, or whatever. So,
Mm.
which wasn't in the script, but I remember it from the movie. Yeah. Did you say something, Vicky?
I remember that in the movie too. That yeah, he was standing in a dip. Yeah. Or she
Kind of.
was. Yeah, she was
Well,
standing.
I think she thought he was because you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like
something.
like
Yeah.
she said, like, hey Steph, watch your step. Yeah, there's some. She didn't call it that, but something like that. Yeah.
Time to watch it again.
Yep,
Mhm.
I was thinking about doing that tonight. Yeah. I should have watched it before this, like in between the
I
two.
tried watching it, but I couldn't find it on anywhere that wasn't making me pay for it. So I was like,
Oh.
seriously.
I think
At
I
least
have
from what
it
I
on
had.
disc. But I know I've watched it with my kid, so at some point. But yeah, not for a while.
So I think I checked Netflix and Prime. And I think Prime you had to pay for it.
Yep.
What else did I check? I checked a couple of them, but
Which is odd because it's such an old movie. You would think, that you wouldn't have to pay for these older ones, but I'm not sure what the logic is for which ones you have to pay for and which ones you don't have to pay for.
it's probably which ones did the best you had to pay for.
I would imagine some of it is like that if the streaming services have made a deal with them or not to like pay them a certain amount to have it on their platform for free for a certain period of time.
And
don't know
it
for sure.
really worries me when, certain ones just the companies can choose not to just air them anymore, like what they did with Willow, right? They've decided for whatever reason, I don't know if you guys heard that or not, but like the Willow movie, they've taken off the air and says they're never going to bring it back again. So if you don't have a copy of it somewhere, you're out of luck.
Was it the Willow movie or the show?
The movie. I
That
think it was
too,
the
huh?
movie. It might be the
Because
show, but
I know I wanted to watch the show that came out, but then I
Mhm.
waited. I had like in my watch list, and then I waited too long, and then it was gone.
yeah, one or the other. I remember finding out about just in time to like download. I haven't seen it yet, so
Okay.
must be the show, not the movie.
Yeah, I think it's the show because the movie, at least in the States, is still available on Disney Plus.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Let me double check. I mean, probably not allowed to do this. But yeah,
Yeah, Netflix is gonna get really mad at
there you go.
you.
Well, that was Disney Plus, but yeah. So yeah, I
Oh,
think they had the TV
either
show on
way.
there. I don't know why they got rid of it. But yeah, I wanted to see it. I was excited for it.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
going to go. I'm having an allergic reaction to something here.
Oh, no.
I have to figure out what it is and blow my nose really well. And
All right, be safe. Let us
Yes,
know that
see
you're
you.
okay.
bye.
Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Yes.
Uh I'm really excited. I need to watch this new Inside Out movie when it comes out.
Is
Yeah.
there
Not to sidetrack or anything, but
is it
speaking
a
of movies.
sequel?
Yeah,
Number
sequel
2.
to the original.
Yeah,
And
I try to stay away from any previews and stuff. I catch little glimpses and I go like, it might actually be good. It looks like
I'm
maybe-
praying. I hope they live up to how good the first one was.
Is that the one
Yeah.
with like emotions talking to each
Yeah,
other?
Yeah,
yeah, where you have anger and fear
Mhm.
and disgust and
I had a
joy.
hard time watching that one. But
Really?
the scene at the except my favorite scene was the very, very end when the cat walks across and you know, and the things just go haywire. I'm like, I laughed my head off of that one. But
Yeah. No, that movie I watched in theaters when it came out. It was very little.
Yeah.
I don't think it was very little. I remember it. Oh,
I think that's all I have to talk about on this movie.
yes,
Um,
I do think so too.
Yeah. I mean,
we
there's a
got quite
couple
Go ahead.
there's a couple of script things that like Chris Columbus did about, like he include like the first words, the slug line as part of the sentence. Goonies are here and doing this. It's like they're combined, even though separate. And he had a lot of capitalized words for
Oh,
things
yeah.
for you to pay attention to, or sounds or something. So
I did notice
I-
that. It made it easier to read a lot of times.
When
The
I
cap-
start,
Mhm. Go
oh
ahead.
sorry, I was gonna say every time when I was doing actions and descriptions, every time I said interior, I said interior. I don't know if you noticed that. I definitely noticed it, and so I kept repeating myself. But I was like, interior. I can't say interior, not interior. Oh, but I got them correct at least.
I just figured
It's
you were
not
speaking with a thick accent.
not
Interior.
me saying inter. What did I say before? Enter and exit or something? Something like that. Oh,
So you're getting better.
And
slowly.
I'm glad you guys brought up the points earlier about the movie, how like one about the so many characters and it's still so clear on all of them, but also how this doesn't seem to have problems that other movies have of like a slower or duller center or any point in the movie. It's always going and something happening, which again, probably one of the many things that helped this movie like stand the test of time or whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really
Although there are a
good.
couple of things that also seem like, all right, movie was maybe dated and written by a guy and maybe toward like guy or kids, like just putting his head in the girl's sweaters or whatever. And the
Yeah,
girl's just like, no, come over here and do it to me. It's like,
they said
that wasn't in the
uh
movie.
they said one thing, cluster face or whatever, which reminded me of I just did Grease the musical, and they have that word in the play. I was like, huh. And it's supposed to reference people who have a lot of pimples and stuff on their face.
Hmm.
So I was confused on why the girl was saying it to mouth or whatever. Because I was like, in the movie, he didn't look like, or from what I've seen of photos, he doesn't look like he has like anything on his face.
But
But
that might have been the writer's plan at the time. The
yeah,
director might have, and casting might have chose to get someone else or not do the makeup or whatever. But yeah.
but yeah, no. I was like, huh, that's an older reference. People don't say that anymore as an insult.
Oh, I
But
wasn't familiar with that one.
Me neither.
yeah, no. It was something in our script actually for Greece, which was 60s.
Hmm.
Maybe this writer remembered it from their childhood.
Yes. Uh, but yeah.
But all right, cool. Thank you again, Kat, for putting all this together and all the hard work
Yes,
that's made
thank you.
everything. And managed the same one 2 weeks in a row, an extra week even.
Yeah, some of these longer ones, you know, the films we can get through usually in like the Avengers took only one reading, but that's because there was all dialogue and very few.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of action in the movie, but not as much actions and descriptions in the script itself.
That's interesting.
I think
thought
it
there'd
was
be a lot more.
Yeah, there was some. There were like 500 lines in the last part, but I mean, this had 1,300 lines.
Wow.
or
Did that
more.
one, the reading of Adventures, make it to the YouTube channel? Can I go there and watch and check it
It's
out?
it's under. I think it's in.
Live.
That's what I was going to ask you because I know how I can. It's on the live part, but I'm not sure how to get it onto the other part. There's like.
I don't think you can.
Mhm.
Although there is a playlist on there on the YouTube channel for like all of the table reads, and you can
Mhm.
add them to that. So at least
I don't know
it would be in the
how
playlist.
though. That's what I'm stuck on. Is how
Alright.
to add them to it and how to.
Well, I'm gonna leave you guys so you can
Okay.
talk
Okay.
now.
All right.
See
Well,
you.
I'll
Have a
probably
great
turn
night.
this off here too. So I'm gonna just take